it the other day. Again, for the first time in a while. And that movie cracks me up. Just when he tries to say Paddington's like bear name, he's like, Mr. Brown.
He hasn't seen it.
That is... You've seen Paddington?
No, I've seen Paddington.
Oh, you have? Who has? Was it you, Ben?
I have not seen Paddington.
One of us hasn't seen it.
I'm the one.
One of the most perfect
I
movies.
haven't seen Paddington 2.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just Mr. Brown. That is incredibly rude.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
It is pretty good.
Like the most wholesome movie ever made. Like truly. Like it's like almost more than Pooh
Christopher
Bear.
Robin.
Yeah, like that movie. Again, I haven't watched it either, but I'm just like, man, if I want to be in a good mood.
Oh yeah, that's what happened. Like the other day, I was like, I want to be in a good mood.
Should all just do a Paddington 2 watch after Ben watches Paddington.
I'll watch Paddington again. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to episode 155 of the Fake Nerd Podcast. I'm Sparkz Whitty. I'm joined today by Brandon T. McClure, Ben Magnet, and Ryan Eliopoulos.
That's fantastic,
Wow,
everyone.
that's
Go
good.
see Paddington.
Wow, that happened. That actually happened.
Just so you guys
Talk about
know,
a sliding intro.
Just so you guys know, he tricked us into an intro.
I love tricks. They're for kids.
Wow.
Oh.
Well done, sir.
Hey, I mean, was that my authorial intent, or is that just your interpretation?
Oh,
shit.
What are we talking about today? I don't even know.
You guys may notice that
Sparkz.
Jen is not here. She had to reschedule.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So she'll be on next week.
Heck
But
yeah.
Ben is back.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Ben.
I'm not dead.
You're not sick anymore.
Yay.
I'm glad you're back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys.
I missed you too, bud.
Yeah, I felt really bad when I woke up that last Sunday and I wasn't able to come on the show. I mean, because like what Sparkz said, because I was at Disneyland the day before, but while I was there, that's because when I get sick, it's always in stages. It's sore throat, fever, and then death, or what feels like death. And right
I was
when
about to say that got really quickly.
it's
As
what
resurrected.
It's what feels like death to me.
Ben gets 1860s sick.
Got it. So we need leeches, and we're going to
leeches.
drill a hole in your head.
Oh no, let's not. Let's
make
not
the
do
spirits
that.
escape.
No, but so
That solves all your problems. The lobotomy.
Well, halfway when I was enjoying my day at Disneyland, which was a fun day at Disneyland, I had my friend and I, we had a great time. Except halfway into our day, the sore throat just backhands me right across the face. So I go through the rest of the day popping Halls like Tic Tacs to soothe my sore throat. Mm-hmm. And we're waiting in line for the tram. That's when the chills get in. Right when I get home, I feel like I have 102-degree fever or something. I was not in a good mood.
Yeah.
Or I was just feeling horrible. I woke up the next day and I'm like,
I should be on the podcast.
yeah, my girlfriend feels my forehead. She's like, babe, you should stay home. I'm like, I'm dying.
Hey, man, it's allowed.
I probably should.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you're back and feeling better.
I feel a whole lot better, and I watched a lot of media this week. Holy crap!
I'm glad. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you got?
You go
Oh
first.
shit! I guess I go.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
going
rolling in the deep, baby.
Yeah. So while I was homesick, I was watching The Boys.
Hey,
and
I know that show.
I actually finished the whole thing.
You finished the whole thing while we were recording last week.
Yeah, that's
you were texting us. I got 2 more episodes left. 1 more episode left. Okay, I'm done. Can I come over?
Yeah.
well, because we had to do our last episode of Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Hello,
over.
darkness, my old friend.
Yo, man, The Boys is real good. I know we talked about it.
No, I really, really like that show.
Second season's in the works right now, baby. Hell yeah.
Well, so my 2 cents of The Boys, because you guys talked really well, a whole lot of it. Did you all finish it?
One episode left.
I'm 2
One
episodes
episode.
behind.
Okay.
We thought there were 7 episodes, so we watched 7, and then there's actually 8.
There's 8.
Keep
We
in
were all
mind, Ben,
wrong.
you're going to get to say a lot because we're doing a Fake Nerd Watch Boys special with you.
Cool. I really enjoyed it. That's
Yeah.
that's
Super
all I'm going
duper.
to say about The Boys. I started watching Nightfall. Have you guys heard of that show?
Is that the Mark Hamill one?
Mark Hamill's in season 2.
Okay, so
the first season.
because I saw the trailer for that.
Yeah, it's about the Knights. It's like Knights of the Templar
Knights
back
Temporal?
in the 13th century, trying to find the Holy Grail. I really like that show. It's like a history accurate Game of Thrones because there's so much backstabbing. And
And
I like
it's
it.
it's History Channel, right?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's I think it was their answer after Vikings.
That makes sense.
So they had Vikings, then they had Nightfall, and since I love all the knights and all that jazz, I'm like, yeah, I really dig this show. And also, I finished Nightfall this week. I also finished an anime last night after I saw Scary Stories called High Score Girl on Netflix.
Is it about video games?
It is.
Figures.
Yeah, I do not like the animation style. It's in the same CG animation style that a lot of the Netflix animes are in.
So
And
cheap.
I hate the style, but god damn
You know
it,
what
does
I noticed about that animation style?
What?
Sorry, Ben, real quick. I was watching a review for Godzilla Monster Planet because I hate myself, and I was watching this review, and they're like, "I don't get this animation. Look how stiff they are, and yet her boobs are the most jiggly things I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah, that's an anime problem,
And
baby.
I was like, "Oh my god, you're so right. Like nobody has any motion, but her boobs are like differently animated.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also a lot of video games that have that problem too.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, your model looks really bad, but man, that boo physics are really working.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
See, Dead or Alive.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I eat Dead or Alive series.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Volleyball games, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But it's an anime that I do not like the animation style, but damn it, the whole series takes place in the early 90s one, so like as the show...
Is it about arcades?
Yeah, it's at arcades.
Okay.
So you got like King of Fighters, the release of Street Fighter 2 Turbo came out.
There's real games in it?
Yeah, real games,
Oh,
real
I might
sprite
have to
work.
watch this.
It is. I really dig it. It takes it. And also there's a season 2 coming because after I finished it, there is a love story just thrown in there because I guess it has to. But it's really good. It's one of those things though when you're watching it's like, yeah, this is an anime Ben definitely likes.
Yeah. Irene Coe, who does the art for the Legend of Korra comics, she's started her own webcomic that's about fighting game communities, but it's like really anime and like super like Scott Pilgrim like, but in like Evo tournaments. So that makes me think of that. I'm like, I want more video game stuff. So like that actually sounds, now that like Street Fighter's actually in it, like that sounds pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's, like the main character, he's hanging out with this one girl, and she's like, "Yeah, my dad has an arcade machine, and you could just come over and play whenever you want." And they're supposed to go to a Christmas party, but then her dad shows up. I was like, "Hey, I just got the motherboard for Street Fighter 2 Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo," and he's all freaking out. So they skip the Christmas party and stay at her convenience store and outside in the snow playing Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
That's cute.
It's a really cute scene.
One thing, real quick anecdote about arcade games in the 90s. Mortal Kombat is known for having, like secret fatalities, secret characters, secret endings, all that stuff. They used to change out the boards for the arcade games monthly to keep people like out of the loop on what this was in the game. So like they would add fatalities and they would add secret stuff like months after the game was out, much like a patch now. But that was super expensive. But Mortal Kombat was like the first to do that, and that's why it got so much traction, so much popularity, because there's so many secrets that were constantly getting renewed. And I'm like, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Also really expensive.
Hey Ryan,
What up?
Mortal Kombat's in the show.
Okay.
It's in High Score Girl.
Hell
it's
yeah,
not.
baby.
It's not as prominent as Street Fighter, but it's in there.
Hey man, I'm into it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It is cool.
fact.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you?
What's up? I played some more Zelda. Ben,
Yeah.
I beat the 4 Divine Beasts. They're
Oh,
the
you
4
did?
bosses of the game. I went to Calamity Ganon. I was unprepared.
You got
I
your ass
thought
whooped,
I was going
didn't
to be able
you?
to beat the final boss like the same night that I beat the other 4 bosses. Hey, I need to prepare a lot more. Holy shit.
You gotta go to a lot of shrines, buddy.
Not even that. I just didn't have enough weapons. Like all my shit broke.
Oh, no.
So I have to like actually prepare to beat the game. But I'm at the end game, which is really cool. That game
the
is
screenshot
phenomenal.
you sent me. So in the Legend of Zelda, in Breath of the Wild, you get the master when you get the master sword.
Oh my god, Ben, that was such an
eventually.
ordeal.
To
I
get the
killed
master
myself
sword?
almost so many times because like so to get the master sword you have to have a lot of hearts, and you gain hearts by doing shrines. But if you do it before you're strong enough, then it'll kill you. And the Deku Tree is like, yo, Link, you're not strong enough. But I kept trying it, and I kept trying it, and I eventually just did like 20 shrines in a row for like hours, and I got the master sword, and I sent Ben a screenshot, and I was like,
Yeah.
I feel accomplished.
So you got the master sword is great, but the way he sent it, because he's you can change your costume.
Oh, I was
or
dressed
your
like a girl.
Yeah, he was dressed like a girl.
Yeah, there's a whole plot about you having to dress like a girl to get into this town that's only women, and they don't let men in, so you have to dress like a woman. And I'm like, oh, there's some really weird things about this game. I don't know what the message is you're trying to send here, Nintendo. It's very interesting.
It's the Gerudo.
There's
but-
no message. They just like weird things.
Yeah, it's true. The Gerudo are super dope.
Yeah,
bunch
they
of
are.
bunch of cool ladies living in the desert. It's
Yeah.
too hot. Get out of the desert.
Yep, but that screenshot you sent me of wearing the disguise, I'm like, oh, that's
I'm
great.
basically wearing like a
That's
skirt
great.
and a belly shirt and one of those masks that Will Smith wears in Wild Wild West. I look like that character, but with the Master Sword. It's great. So that's Zelda. I did that. I didn't do much entertainment because Sparkz was not here. So I was crying by myself a lot of the time. I'm just kidding. But I did read House of X #2, and
I also read that.
That is a truly... like in The Sixth Sense when you watch the whole movie and then you find out the twist and it makes you revisit the entire movie in a new light? That's what House of X does for the last 60 years of X-Men history. It's mind-blowing. And every issue keeps upping the ante, and I cannot believe that Marvel is allowing this to happen, because it is the only thing that like Image Comics allow. It is bananas, and you guys should really pick this up because it's like history in the making.
My girlfriend is picking up the X-Men titles.
Yes.
So I'm reading it off of her. I'm not caught up. I haven't read Powers of X yet. There's only 3 issues. I'll probably do it this week.
Yeah.
But when I remember, I think Joshua Yale tweeted
The
that,
IGN guy.
yeah, like whether or not you're reading or not, it's kind of great to see everyone just
The
collectively
conversation.
talking about this. Like
Yes.
the Twitter conversation about comics is just dominated by X-Men, and I've never seen this before.
Yeah, because X-Men have been kind of stagnant for almost 15 years.
Yeah, but like you don't even see like you see like comic Twitter talk about some things, but you don't see like Twitter.
Patrick
talking
Willems, who's like a YouTuber talking about it, like other people outside of comics who are vaguely into comics.
Yeah.
Patrick's into comics, but like people who are outside are like, well, this is getting my attention. It's because it's Jonathan Hickman, and that dude is only a bold storyteller. He's not someone who does something generic or just to do it. So I found this out. He's been attached to the X-Men for over 2 years.
Really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff with Legion was true, and he decided he did not want to do DC. He can either do a Legion book or he can take over the X-Men.
Yeah.
So he's been planning this for 2 years, which makes me even sadder for Matthew Rosenberg, who's been writing the X-Men for the last 2 years, knowing his story was going to end and be thrown away.
Right.
But if you have a chance to write the X-Men, why don't you do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool and kind of sad. But yeah, he's had this plan, and like, man, every issue is like, wow, you really thought this out, like hardcore, my man. So like, it's true. It's the most exciting time in comics since Secret Wars, which he also wrote.
We're
I'm
probably
just-
never getting Dying in the Dead #4, huh?
Yep.
I forgot about that book, my man.
I really like that book.
Yeah.
Ryan, I have to say, you don't have no idea how happy it makes me that every time I open my Twitter, I see you talking to other people on Twitter about how great X-Men is. I don't know. It just makes me happy. It's like, man, he is talking about X-Men.
I don't- yeah, I
and
don't-
other people are talking about X-Men, not just comic people. It's like, man, this is great. This is really great.
I've had Twitter for a long time, but I haven't really used it like aggressively until the last couple months, and especially since a month ago, like when I started reading these X-Men books. Comic Twitter has been so fun, and I don't have any followers, but I've gained a lot of followers just through talking about comics, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to talk about something you really love with people who love it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
There's not enough of that these days.
Yes, especially with comics, because nobody reads
yeah.
comics.
Yeah.
I mean, like comics, Twitter reads comics, but nobody in the world. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a Marvel movie. So that was mostly my week.
Sparkz?
I have very little to add for this week because I had almost zero time to consume anything media-wise. Most of that was whittled down to listening to podcasts on long drives. I was out of town most of this week. I went back to Monterey to see my folks and to see friends and take care of things there because
How are folks and friends?
they're good. I talked to a lot of people who listen to this podcast, and we talked about things
Oh,
we're
no.
doing on the podcast and things they're excited about. And I was like, "Oh yeah, we're thinking about this thing," and they're like, "Oh, that sounds real neat." And I'm like, "Oh man, yeah, 8 months." No, it was really nice. I caught up with our friend Jeremy Vellucci.
Hell yeah,
a
music
lot of
fan.
other friends of the podcast, people who've been on, Marty, Sam, all of them. I had a brief moment with a lot of people.
Oh, speaking of Jeremy Vellucci, because we don't hear this, but our new intro was attached to this episode.
Oh, correct. Yeah,
So Jeremy gave
Jeremy
us
made new intro and outro.
and outro. So you'll hear both of those. Sound really cool. I'm
And
happy
if
that-
you're watching our episodes on YouTube, then there should be a new video to go along with that.
Heck yeah.
very
so-
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he and I talked a little bit of Suburban Proctologist. We talked a little bit of this, some things for this, something for our Downright Nerdy crossover episode.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that too.
I realize I'm very prepared for the Downright Nerdy crossover, and it's not for like 5 months. So just
Yeah,
like,
that's
well,
good.
I think I jumped
Yeah.
the gun on this one.
Michael Carls posted out a thing thanking me because I mailed him a bunch of gifts. And
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
he's a cool guy. I'm glad that those gifts arrived safely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of collaborative stuff talking about and all that. But otherwise, I listened to a lot of podcasts. I think I've got a new video game I'm gonna want to pick up real quick because it's short and
What's
it
it called?
sounds great. It's on the Switch. It's called Gato Roboto.
Yep.
Yeah, you're familiar. Yeah. It's a side scroller about a cat that jumps in a robot in space.
All right then.
That
So
sounds awesome.
yeah, so I think I'm going to pick that up in the near future. Talk to our friend Marty, saying we need to hop on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 with him.
I haven't played
because
that
he
much
has
of it,
and,
so I'm ready to
is
do
playing
it.
it online. So,
Hell yeah.
but otherwise, I didn't get to see any movies this week. I didn't get to complete any shows. Everything up on YouTube.
You still got YouTube stuff out.
I did get YouTube stuff out from Monterey. I exported everything to a flash drive and then took it with me so I could upload it.
Nice.
Sweet.
But that's how we got out our last.
We got
Swamp
two
Thing.
finales.
We got two finales. We got our last Swamp Thing episode out for Fake Nerds Watch. which is very sad. And our last Shadow of the Colossus Basement Arcade episode out.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
And one of our podcast episodes. And the rest of it I was going to catch up on, but I wasn't here, so I wasn't able to. So this next week will be a big catch-up week.
Any ideas, teases you want to tease for Basement Arcade?
I mean, we've said it before. We're doing Sonic Mania next.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing that.
Ryan's gonna be playing it. I'm gonna be watching. Ryan, I just was replaying Sonic Mania the other night, and that game's great. I've been listening to the soundtrack. I've been listening to the soundtrack again. I'm like, man, this game is awesome.
And,
I'm so happy you're gonna play
Just
it.
I just remembered, I forgot to tell you guys, but I brought back some Xbox games that I know work on Xbox One.
Ooh.
So some stuff we can do there.
Hell yeah, baby.
But yes, so they'll be doing Sonic Mania. That's going out this week, the first episode, yeah?
We haven't recorded
We're
it,
gonna
so
do that in a
no.
while? Okay.
No, we're taking a little
hiatus? I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. Okay.
And,
Mostly for scheduling reasons.
Yeah.
Fake Nerd Watch.
Fake Nerds Watch, we don't know exactly what the next, week by week thing is going to be. We are doing 2 specials in the near future. One is going to be talking about Stranger Things Season 3, which you're on, Brandon.
Yeah.
And another is Ben, Ryan, and I are going to talk about the entire season of The Boys.
Whoop, whoop.
They're back in
and
town.
we'll put those out really soon. But as far as a week-to-week thing, we still are undecided.
Okay, then.
I read Absolute Carnage #1. That's a terrifically awesome, way too expensive comic book.
I cannot wait to read it. I'm very stoked.
That
is
was
Donny Cates.
an expensive
it's
book.
60 issues. It's 60 issues. It's 60 pages though, so it's 3 comics.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I don't need to spend $8 on a comic.
$8.
But I
It's
mean,
3 issues.
Yeah, but I mean, House of X1 was 50, and that's
Was-
10 less pages, and it was $2 less.
But the next issue for Absolute Carnage will be 4, I think.
Yeah.
I think we're going down to standard event pricing after this. Let's see. I watched Midsummer.
Yeah, and you liked it.
I really liked it.
Man,
Yeah.
that makes me so happy, Brandon.
Yeah.
Because that is such a strange movie. Every person, whether you like horror or not, you can walk in loving it or walk out hating it. So,
Yeah.
the fact you liked it, I think you're really gonna like Hereditary then.
Since you brought that up, I will clear this up because we have talked about how Ryan and I have wanted to do a Midsommar
Oh,
discussion.
yeah.
Ryan and I discussed it, and we've decided in October what
Spooky time.
we'll do a double review special on Midsommar and Hereditary, both films by Ari Aster, which you both are welcome to be
The
part
most
of.
oppressing double feature of all time.
And that'll be part of our Halloween time releases.
I'm not sure if I'd want to do that because while I did like Midsummer, I don't know if I have a lot to say about it.
yeah.
It was
really?
it's I have a lot to think about.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a lot to just be yeah, like we normally do. I just kind of feel like I want to sit on it and
I mean,
think about it.
this is in 2 months, so you got time to think about it.
Maybe that'll change.
Mhm.
Yeah, I posted on Instagram because I post all my movies that I watch on Instagram, and I was just it starts with the most horrible thing that could ever happen to anybody, and then it doesn't get better.
Yeah.
Yep, I love it.
And
Yep.
I was glued, and we watched a really late showing. We went at 10:30, and it's 2 hours.
It's
2
a
hours
long
plus,
movie.
yeah. And
Were there people there?
yeah,
That's
Packed
so
house.
surprising.
Packed house.
I can't believe it's still in theaters, actually.
my girlfriend loved it, she adored it, and I just kind of sat there I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. It was
I think Hereditary is a better movie, too. So I'm really excited for you to see Hereditary, because I think that is a better version of what type of movie he likes to make.
Yeah.
Because this is, honestly, Midsommar is kind of more straightforward in a weird way,
And
whereas Hereditary is a lot more crazy.
Hereditary is definitely because when I first got out, I was oh, I liked it, and as the more I think about it, the more I appreciate it and the more I enjoy it. It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I also saw Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Same.
Ben, you also saw that.
Yeah, I did.
I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, it was.
It was a fun time.
Yeah, did you guys see it?
No.
No.
There was
Oh.
a point towards the end. And there was-
Well, I was wondering if Ryan saw it, but I knew you weren't able to see it.
I see movies with Sparkz.
Aw.
So if he didn't see it, I didn't see it.
Aw.
There
But
was-
now we can go without Ben.
Yeah!
I was thinking, when are we going to go this week? I'd been thinking about it in my head. I'm like, when are we going to go? Because I want Ben to come with us, and Ben already saw it. So, F you, Ben. We'll go without you.
Well, I'm sorry. Fanny wanted to go see it.
Turn his
so.
mic off.
I saw. There was a point with Scary Stories that never happened to me before in a horror movie, where I was just kind of sitting there going okay, I'm done being scared. Can you just tell me what's happening and we can move on?
Like it was too scary, or there was so much scaring that it kind of it faded over you. Oh, it doesn't scare me anymore.
Well, so I'm a baby.
Yeah.
So scary movies really do a number on me. But there was a point in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark where I just wanted to know more about the mystery of what was happening in the movie. Then I wanted to be scared. I was just kind of okay, I know we got to do the scares, but can we wrap up the story?
More story? Gotcha.
I want more story. Not a criticism, just kind of where I was at.
Yeah.
I like the story a lot. I like all the actors. I thought they were all really good. It's an interesting one because it is structured in a way that you know when it's going to start getting scary.
Isn't it just like Spooky or Goosebumps?
Yeah.
This is definitely like a PG-13 version of Goosebumps, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
because like the most recent horror movies we saw are all rated R. There's some blood. There's some death. There's a lot
There's
of blood.
some good imagery in this
There's
movie,
some
too.
really there's a scene involving a kid under the bed that got me. That was a scene.
Yeah.
That was a scene that got me. And there's another scene in the red hallways where I was thinking it was going to go one way, but didn't. But I want to say the really good thing about this movie for me is that yes, it has jump scares, but it also has like edge on your seat, and every worst case scenario is gunning through your head. And then when you see it actually happens, you're like, that's still freaking scary.
Also, packed house.
Awesome.
I saw it with the packed house.
It wasn't super packed, but we had a decent amount of people in my theater.
Yeah.
Did anything else come out this week?
Yes. The Kitchen.
Oh, I know another thing I saw.
That's getting terrible reviews.
Yeah.
I'm so sad.
I'm sorry.
So bummed.
I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that with you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Not my favorite.
Yeah.
I still really enjoyed it, but after I was listening to you guys talk about it, I have to agree with Brandon. It is there are some parts of that movie that could get cut and make it shorter. It was way too long.
Yeah. My whole thing is like, I feel, and I'm not editing the movie, and I'm not an editor, so maybe I'm wrong. But I feel that there are points in the movie that you could cut out, and you wouldn't change anything about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You would just kind of shorten the runtime and make it a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's still a good movie. I still walked out of it like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I really didn't start like super liking it until the very end of the movie, like
Sure.
where
Don't spoil it.
don't spoil it for the people who haven't seen it.
oh yeah, but yeah,
We
yeah.
all- audience.
Seen it, but the audience. I also saw Her. I watched Her
For the first time?
for the first time.
That was my favorite movie of the year when that came out.
Yeah, I really liked it. It did not go anywhere that I thought it was going
Yeah.
to go. I was really interested,
Joaquin Phoenix, man, he's so good.
and it's one of the movies on that list.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I.
Oh shit, we need to watch that, guys.
So because we were talking about like my girlfriend and I were talking like what movies we wanted to see, and like just for whatever reason, Her came up.
I was listening to the Moon song literally like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
That Karen O wrote that Scarlett Johansson sings. And
Yeah.
that's the movie that made me fall in love with Scarlett Johansson's voice. Because
Yeah.
I'm a fan of raspy voices. And boy, when she's just talking to me, like,
She's got a
great.
music career, you know.
Career?
Well,
She
has albums.
She has songs out?
she has albums.
Yeah, so does Jeremy Renner. Yeah, let's laugh at that
I
too.
like Jeremy Renner's albums actually.
Oh no. Honey, no.
Wait, is it albums or
Look,
album?
Look, I
Album?
like boy bands.
I understand
He sounds
that-
like a boy band.
Brandon, I understand that you missed Three Doors Down, but that phase in our lives is over.
It will
It's
never be over. It will never be over. I will go see the Backstreet Boys in concert, sir. It will never be over.
Damn it. I'll see the Backstreet Boys. I won't see Jeremy Renner.
My friend actually went and saw Backstreet Boys for her birthday just
All right.
recently. Yeah, they were. Oh, I see what you did
That
there.
was well done.
That was very well. Yeah, I have to agree.
So yeah, so I saw Her. I liked Her. I love Scarlett Johansson.
She could play anything.
Yeah, totally.
God.
Yeah, it didn't go anywhere I thought it was going to go, but I really enjoyed it. Let's see. I finished Stranger Things. Obviously, I've caught up on Action Comics. My God, guys, I don't know what I'm missing from Action Comics that I'm reading it, but like,
It's still not doing it for you?
so it's
Because I haven't read it.
it is half doing it for me and half not. It is the most conflicting. Sometimes when I read a lot of the books that I pick up, like Immortal Hulk or Venom, or Justice League Dark or Justice League, like I put it down and go, "Wow, that was great."
Mhm.
When I put down Action Comics, I'm like, okay, and like I don't. So like I'm kind of like thinking about my reaction to things because I'm trying to cut down on my pull. But I'm reading it. Like part of the reason is I think Bendis has a good voice for Superman and a shit voice for Lois Lane. He's got a good voice for who's another character? The Question. I love his Question. I hate his Batman. Like I like go back and forth whenever these characters show up. Like I like them. I like some of the characters. I hate some of the other characters. And that just comes from the fact that he's not written these characters before. So that could change as time goes on.
Hey, man, I'm not reading the Iron Man book. Like, you don't have to... If the book's not doing it for you anymore, you don't have to buy it.
Right. And so but as I'm reading Action Comics, I'm really interested in the mystery of what he's building in Action Comics. I don't know. I'm not interested in Superman that much anymore, but what's happening with the Leviathan and with the Invisible Mafia, like that storyline is doing it for me.
Is it actually an invisible mafia?
No.
Damn it. That's an awesome idea.
that storyline
Man.
is doing it for me, but the characters aren't doing it for me. And so, like, I'm having this really conflicted feelings of reading this book. Like, I
Yeah.
like it, but I don't. And there's no like in between there for me.
That's fair. I've read the least of it. I read the first 6 issues of. I read that Man of Steel
Man of
mini,
Steel miniseries.
and then I read a couple of issues of Superman in action. I was
Yeah.
like, this is good, but like, it's not doing anything super different for Superman for me.
Yeah.
And as much as I like Bendis, I had to cut stuff out. And like Venom and like Immortal Hulk, like those kind of books are doing such a strange new thing where I'm like, I got to make some cuts, and it's sad that Bendis is the one that's getting cut.
Yeah, and so
I want to be reading a Bendis Superman book.
And it's also my issue that I had with Wonder Comics. His teenagers, and I've noticed this. I noticed this a little bit with Riri Williams, but I'm noticing it a lot more with like Wonder Comics and the fact that he's writing like every teenage superhero in DC right now.
He loves them. It's his thing.
They all sound the same.
Yeah.
And like he writes his teenagers the exact same way every single time, and it never comes off as genuine to me. It always comes off as a 40-year-old man writing a teenager. Mm-hmm. And now that works for some people, and like the voice isn't like malicious. He's not doing a bad job at it. It's just I don't get it when I'm reading Tim Drake and Connor Kent and Impulse, and they all sound like the same person.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that.
I haven't read that, but like there are plenty of comics where I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
because Bendis definitely does have. He works great with. I'm talking about his X-Men and his Avengers stuff.
Yeah.
He works great with big groups, and I think why his Avengers and X-Men work so well is because those are a bunch of old people. They're not teenagers.
Yeah.
And teenagers are they're younger, they're underdeveloped, they're learning who they're trying to be, so they can be written kind of the same.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a shame
And
because I think his Miles obviously is great.
his Miles is great.
Yeah.
His Peter Parker was great.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, like Bendis, like Riri Williams, like post Riri Williams, and I want to say specifically Riri had a similar problem for me. But as I'm reading these characters, they don't sound like real teenagers, and that's unfortunate to me because I like a lot of these characters. I love Tim Drake. I love
think
Impulse.
the book club that we read today has some really great teenager talk.
Yeah.
Chelsea Cain.
Yeah.
I think she writes young people very well.
And that was my issue with
She's also way younger
that was
than
my
Bendis.
issue with Superman. When I was reading Superman and reading John Kent, when he showed up, I was like, "Oh, you just sound like Bendis writing a teenager. You don't sound like John Kent." And that was that was kind of where that kind of hit me. Like, oh, I may not like this run anymore or at all. But I caught up on Avengers as well. Not caught up. I haven't hit War of the Realms yet, but I finished the Vampire Wars for Avengers. Holy shit, you guys! The Avengers Vampire Wars is awesome.
Yeah, guys, Blade's dope.
Blade's great.
Blade is so cool. I love Blade being an Avenger.
And Robbie goes to hell and meets Johnny Blaze, who's got a flaming crown above his head. It's great.
Yeah,
love it.
And then once you get to War of the Realms, that's it's Spider-Man riding on a Pegasus with Thor, like fighting a frost giant. Like it's some good shit.
Can't wait. It's my next arc. That
Hell
I'm
yeah,
reading
baby.
Avengers. Anyway, that said, I almost screwed up my computer.
Oh
We're
my
fine.
gosh, we're
still
fine.
recording. I need help, guys.
Yes, what's up?
Not just from the guys in this room, but also the audience. And then help in I want good wishes. Because I am writing 2 books.
It's a lot of books.
I am writing 2 books. I'm writing a sci-fi novel and a book that a publisher is interested in.
Yay!
I have reached out to a publisher. I just kind of did it on a whim. They're interested. And I'm not going to say what it is on air. And I'm really nervous saying that anyway.
Do you have a deadline?
No, but the publisher hasn't said yes yet.
Okay.
That's
Deadlines are what make or break people.
Yeah, that is what I am asking from the audience. I just want good wishes. Put it out there in the universe. I want this publisher to say yes. It's looking like they want to. Just making sure they're not going to get sued if they do. So please, guys, if you could just, well wishes, I would greatly appreciate it. I really want this to happen for me.
You got to make it happen for yourself, my man.
I know, like it's in the hands of the publisher.
Yeah.
It's in the hands of the publisher, and I'm in contact with the publisher. And
and here's the thing, Brandon. Don't wait for a publisher to tell you to write a book. Just write a book.
I'm writing. No, I'm. Look,
that's good.
I'll show you my.
No,
drafts
that's
if you
good.
want.
That's what I mean. Like I don't. Yeah.
I am writing both books, but the fact that I have reached out to a publisher and they said that they were interested and that they're excited about this and like they want to do it. Like the fact that has happened to me is something that I never thought I would ever do for myself. I never thought I would ever get to this point, and now that I am here, I want it to keep going. And unfortunately, right now it is in the hands of the publisher. So I'm hoping, and I want good wishes. I want just well wishes. That's all I really want. And hopefully I can make this happen for
Hell
myself.
yeah, baby. And hey, man, if you don't have a publisher, you know what? Self-publishing. Ken did it.
Yeah. Well, no, Ken didn't do it.
Oh, I thought he got... Oh, just kidding.
No. In fact, actually, there we'll talk about it off air, I'm sure, but like there is a correlation between what I'm doing and what Ken did.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just it's a big deal for me that this is happening because
Just stay on it, baby.
I just never thought I'd do it, and
Stay on it.
And the fact that I'm writing these 2 books and they're coming along and hell, I think they're good, but it's a really big deal.
That's awesome, dude.
Really big deal. For
Hell
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on? Anything else you guys want to touch on? Or shall we move on?
Comic books are pretty cool, you guys. That's
They're
it.
pretty cool.
That's all.
Sparkz?
No, I got nothing.
Ben?
I'm good.
All right, let's do the bread and butter.
Nom nom noms.
And here's your bread. And your butter.
Here's your bread and butter.
Hey, okay, not in my ear, thank you.
All right, guys, welcome into our news this week. We are starting off with some political discourse, because who doesn't love political discourse? Brandon doesn't love political
No, he does
discourse.
not.
So Brandon chose not to be part of this
Yes.
discussion because it aggravates him, makes him upset with
Which
our
is
country, which
completely
is
fair.
absolutely fair.
But that's
Yeah.
the reason I want to talk about it, because we need to talk about these things. We didn't talk about it last week.
no,
The sad events that happened with the 2 mass shootings.
over the past couple weeks.
Yes. Yes, and since then, I actually looked today, there's been 252 other shootings. Not mass shootings, but 252 killings
yes.
since the last report. So we're going to talk about gun violence really quick, guys, because Universal decided to pull one of their movies called The Hunt. Is this a Blumhouse movie, right? Or I thought it was.
Yeah, because it's the same people that made The Purge and everything.
Yeah. So
Blumhouse,
Universal is releasing it, but it's a Blumhouse production.
we talked about this trailer last week.
Yeah, it just looks like
Yeah.
a whatever. Like
We said, yeah, that looks fine.
people are getting hunted by rich people. This is not an original concept. It looks
It's like
fine.
Purge, but not Purge.
Yeah,
kind of
Hunger
thing.
Games kind of situation.
Yeah.
But after the tragedies that happened, instead of actually dealing with an actual problem, they decided to take the movie from theaters. They're not going to release it. Very much in the style of The Interview. I don't know if you guys remember The Interview, the Seth Rogen movie,
Yeah.
where Kim Jong-un said, "We're going to bomb America if you release this movie." It's a huge thing out of proportions. It was not a big deal. That's ridiculous.
But was a very different, like...
No, I'm just
thing.
saying, like,
No, I
the
know. There-
response.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And then
Yeah,
that
yeah.
movie turned out just like, whatever, who cares? It's a comedy. So Universal released a statement. While Universal Pictures has already paused the marketing campaign for The Hunt, after thoughtful consideration, the studio has decided to cancel our plans to release the film. We stand by our filmmakers and will continue to distribute films in partnership with bold and visionary creators like the ones associated with this satirical social thriller, but we understand that now is not the right time to release this film.
So, I have questions. Like, just from that trailer, I'm like, why? Why is this the film
We
that
watched the
crosses
movie.
the line?
We watched the trailer for Ready or Not,
Sure.
which features people getting killed in this house.
With crossbows.
Well, I mean, there's
Crossbows,
also
shotguns,
yes.
the whole 9 yards.
There are multiple trailers that come out every week that involve guns, but
Yeah.
for some reason, this movie specifically is getting targeted.
Yeah, and I'm
I
like,
don't
this,
understand why.
This movie isn't about mass shootings. This
Nope.
movie isn't related to that.
You
All
know what
it's
it is? It's
related
about
to,
rich people.
It's about rich people
Yeah.
hunting poor people and
Yeah.
poor people arming themselves to kill them. And
That's shitty.
and the fact that that's the one that they're
Yep.
like, you know what, I think we should pull that. It almost seems like a sense of like, well, we don't want to give them any more ideas to be mad at rich people.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not great.
In a similar,
This is the wrong kind of response.
yes. This is why we don't talk about it because political talk. It's not fun. This is not why you come to this podcast.
No.
but we didn't want to talk about it last week, but this directly involves movies getting released that we talk about, video games getting released that we talk
Sure.
about. So it is involved in everything that we do.
Like, where's the line on this, Universal? Are you not going to release any movies this year with guns in them? Is that where we're?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing now?
Sounds
I would love to look at the release
This-
schedule.
No, it doesn't sound like it. It
This
sounds like
sounds-
they're pulling just this one.
Yeah, but this also sounds like a really bad slippery slope. That if a movie has a gun in it, then pull it.
Yeah,
That's not what's
Spe-
That's not what's going to happen.
Speaking of that, Walmart, known for selling
God.
guns, mostly in the South. When I lived in
Yeah.
Texas, I would go and buy airsoft guns right next to the stall where you can buy rifles for $150.
Sure.
Right? Walmart has said that they're going to pool their marketing and their like banners for violent video games. Also, some stores, probably in the South, because I've been to a Walmart recently in California and they haven't done this, they're going to pull mature video games as well. In a response to the shootings, because we all know video games cause violence. They have forever. Pong was the first video game, and there's been mass shootings since Pong ever since. Right, guys?
Yep, that's the
Yeah,
historical
it's-
track record I know.
And Walmart is still selling guns.
Yeah.
and it's a type of thing that really is really bothersome, and it's a systemic problem that's been in this country for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do to fix it.
I mean, this isn't new.
No.
This isn't new. There's always scapegoating away from what the real problem
Video
is,
games,
which
movies,
is guns.
music.
Going to movies and video games is now apparently because Trump said it.
Yes.
That's really what happened. Is the president went out there and said video games are part of the
and
problem.
this is not even a left-right thing. The president said video games are bad.
And all of a
That is
sudden,
fundamentally
we're
wrong.
having this discussion again, which we haven't had in a
20
very
years.
long time.
There was a guy, I think his name was like, I want to say Jack Johnson or James Johnson. He was a guy in the 90s, and his whole thing was like, video games are the worst thing on the planet. And he went through Congress, and everyone laughed at his ass.
Oh no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a huge thing.
There was a representative that went on the news and said, "Look at Japan. Japan doesn't have mass shootings, and they don't have video games." And everybody went, "Wow, you just proved you don't know your argument."
Reggie Fils-Aimé, former director of Nintendo, or
president of
Nintendo of America, he tweeted out, was like, guys, had two graphs about video game sales in other countries, including the United States, and gun violence. The top country that sold video games was South Korea. South Korea, Japan, United States. Those are the top three. Guess what? Second graph, we're the biggest one with gun violence.
Yeah.
South Korea and Japan have literally nothing.
Violent video games, violent movies, violent music exists all around the world. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
And also,
we aren't exclusively making bad movies.
And expanding out this argument, plenty of people have been saying it. Like, other countries have mental health issues. They don't have a mass shooting problem.
No.
Yeah.
Other countries have violent video games and violent
We
content
are
in
the
their
only
films.
country
They don't
in
have
the
mass
world.
shooting problems. We do.
The only country in the world.
And the reason is because we don't have good gun control laws, and it's as simple as that. And I'm sorry if that aggravates you.
It does, but for real,
it's true. And
the NRA has so much money in the pockets of politicians that they are willing to have so many scapegoats instead of actually getting rid of some guns because they would lose some money. That's what it is. That sucks. Listen, I love guns. I shoot guns in Texas all the time. Last time I hung out with my dad before he passed, we went to a shooting range and we shot guns.
Sure.
Because it's guns have always been around. Guns are in other countries too. America is a very special problem where our freedom and you're allowed to do whatever you want. Nobody cares. And that's the problem. Is nobody cares because they're making money off of this. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's the problem. Is it's always about money, and it doesn't matter about lives.
It always just aggravates me that when tragedies like this happen, people turn to they say mental health issues. They say people like this are sick. It's like, no, this was terrorism, guys. This was freaking terrorism. Every single shooter that we've had, the past three big shootings that have been on national news, all the shooters have been white.
And listen, this is not me, Ryan Leopoulos, trying to get super left-leaning, but the last shooter had guns in a Trump pose. Like, he posed his guns in the letters of Trump, and he posted a picture. And his manifesto was saying how immigrants are taking over the country.
Yeah, it was a race.
It's the rhetoric of our own government that is causing young people to be this way.
Yeah, but when people see stuff like this, they see it's public record, and yet are people who we have been abducted, they instantly turn their thing to video games. I fucking hate this argument. It's pissed me off then. It pisses me off
everyone
now.
knows that it's not true. Everybody on every side. Most politicians agree. Like, I can't believe we're having this debate again. It's a scapegoat because no one wants to solve any actual issues.
I'm not gonna lie. I love seeing the memes. Like, there was that Stranger Things meme where Steve comes out from the beginning of the series, again, seriously, is like video game players, and then it has
Anyway, focusing on what the news is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Walmart first. Walmart, this was the wrong move.
Very wrong.
Definitely.
Take responsibility for your actual actions and what you're actually responsible for. This isn't it. You wanted to make a big change. You could have changed your gun laws.
Yeah.
Like, you could have changed your policy on selling guns. You could have done that, and that would have sent a more powerful message. But you decided, video games.
It makes me physically ill to think that after dozens of people have been murdered, that their logic to fix this is to take away the Call of Duty banner instead of take away the gun from the store,
right?
Because the guns make more money.
Yeah,
I think we can end it there, but I think it's something that go more.
No, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was like,
all right, I do want to go to Universal though. Universal had no good reason to do this. There was no pressure on them for this. As far as we can tell, there wasn't anything outside of this is a lot of guns in this movie. Maybe this isn't a good time. Otherwise, as far as we know, the film has nothing to do with mass shootings.
No.
And there is no.
It's people dropped on
an
island.
There is no direct connection, And so this makes no sense. This is a weird response.
Again,
I haven't seen the trailer for The Hunt, and just by hearing you guys describe it, it sounds like it's a battle royale sort of thing.
It's basically just rich people hunting poor people. Yeah, and it's a satirical comedy or like dark comedy thriller.
It's a dark, it's like Ready or Not. I see Ready or Not as a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's like Ready or Not, but like a different version of that almost.
Yeah, so why the hell would they want to pull this? It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
What's the movie about? It's about rich people getting oppressed by poor people.
Yeah,
like, and
this
that sucks. That
this
like,
makes no sense, and it's a really bad precedent for them to start.
It is.
I have no clue where their thinking is coming from on this one. It just makes zero sense.
Because Blumhouse, like, this was not their decision. It was
Sure.
Universal.
Yeah.
I read the quote. Like, oh, we love working with our bold, passionate directors, except when they argue with our politics.
And I'm like, guys, you just released Hobbs and Shaw. Are you going to go back and replace all the guns with
walkie-talkies?
Dude, I bet
walkie-talkies?
if we went to go see like a rated R movie today, we would see 5 trailers that have a bunch of guns in them.
For sure.
It's just, this is bananas to me. I can't believe it. Reminds me of Borderlands. Borderlands' whole thing is how they have billions of guns. Borderlands 3, it's like how every gun is like randomly generated. So their tagline is trillions of guns.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to ban Borderlands 3 because it has trillions of guns? No.
Sure.
And like no one's going after that game.
No.
And it's these stupid like.
And also,
I wonder. Sorry, Ben. Like the people behind specifically like the Hunt. Like, does somebody have a vendetta against them, like a James Gunn situation? And that's shitty. That's super shitty.
Apparently they do, and also me jumping. I'm a big thing. I'm like really pissed. I'm still pissed off at Universal for pulling The Hunt because I agree that's a stupid move. But I'm still like really pissed off that everyone's challenge is pointing the.
It's not everyone though. It's
well,
just
a lot of people are pointing the finger at video games, and it pisses me off.
It's all the old white men on.
Yeah,
Fox
it's like,
News.
oh, we got this. I'm like, guys, we have. It's because of people like you back in the '90s. We created the ESRB. It's because it's like
it's the people who think Grand Theft Auto is only killing hookers. It's not an in-depth story about people turning to crime. It's not about families. It's not about playing games with your friends. It's about killing hookers. That's all it's about. Because to them, video games, that's all it is to them.
Yeah.
They don't see it like movies. They don't even see video games as an art form. They see
don't.
is Call of Duty shooting people. That's
Sure.
instead of Animal Crossing or like any Nintendo Switch game where you're playing with animals. Yeah.
They don't.
It's just a shame because like this is a conversation that I guarantee we can have in another year and nothing's going to be any different.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I feel like I could get on my soapbox and spat for hours about how this is stupid, but other people better than me have said it, more articulate than me have said it. It still makes me very mad.
And I think that's the key point is like, what is this doing to change things?
Nothing.
Like honestly, as U.S. companies, Walmart, Universal, what is this doing to change things? What message are you
tell you what,
sending?
it's hurting Universal because that's a movie they're not going to make their money back on.
Sure. And what message are you sending? Like, what is the goal? I don't understand it.
I don't either.
Anyway, let's move on.
Sorry, we had to talk. Had to talk
guys,
about this. Guys.
This was too much.
Sometimes real life gets in the
too
way.
much junk
of nerdy stuff.
I hope you're still sticking around listening to us.
Oh man, you know what?
Everybody can enjoy guns. That's okay. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of guns.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, let's talk about some actual bread and butter.
Did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
What'd you all talk about?
Nothing you want to
Don't worry about it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Only good news.
Let's do our bread and butter.
All right.
I love carbs, baby.
Only good news. Ernie Colin died.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
not good news.
No, that's started. Yeah, that's what happens.
That's Hello Darkness, My Old Friend news.
Yeah.
Ernie Colin is was a prominent comic book artist, right?
He was an artist and a writer.
Yeah. He passed away this week at the age of 88.
Long life. Fortunately, he passed away battling cancer.
Cancer.
88 is a decent life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a shame he passed. I'm going to read off his list because a lot of this is a lot of older stuff I'm not familiar with, or I'm familiar but I never read it.
Yeah,
he started on Richie Rich and Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yep.
He wrote Solar, Man of the Atom.
Same
He worked
character.
on Vampirella, Eerie, and Creepy. I'm familiar with those. Those are pre-Swamp Thing kind of spooky stuff. He created Arak, Son of Thunder, and Amethyst, Princess of Gemworld for DC.
Oh, he created.
He created one of my favorite things on the planet, Damage Control, with Dwayne McDuffie. And he was the DC editor over Wonder Woman, Flash, and Green Lantern in the 80s. So if you like those stories, he's one of the reasons they're great. He's a pivotal member of the 70s, 80s community. And again, he worked with Dwayne McDuffie on Damage Control, so that's the reason I love him. He has a great funny style. And it's a shame. The shame is gone.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Absolutely. He is, though, as you said, like a long life. He is definitely on the like longer life end of a lot of the deaths we've had to talk about in the past couple months.
Yeah.
So, grateful for everything he got to contribute.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Damage Control almost became a series.
I'm still hoping one day.
All right, so that's unfortunate. What's not unfortunate is our Lord and Savior Disney.
Hey, that's
What?
Kevin. Well, same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing.
I think Kevin Feige is now a saint. In the
Saint Kevin. No, he's still my Lord and Savior.
Okay.
Yeah.
never liked a company's creative output more and liked their business practices less.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I getcha.
All right, so Disney Plus had some news that Bob Iger said that he is going to. Oh, I saw those. Those look cool. Sparkz just showed me a thing. Disney Plus announced that they are going to be bundling Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus for $12.99.
Oh my god. Man, HBO, Netflix, you're all screwed.
They are
man.
so
Oh my
dead.
god, this is such a deal. This
Yeah.
is still like cheaper than Netflix, I think.
Well,
Well,
yes.
Netflix's standard plan is $12.99 as of this year.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
God, I don't even care about sports, but that's a steal.
wow.
That's a lot of packages.
No, for me that's fine because
Yeah.
I love sports. I'm like, sweet, I can watch sports again. That's great.
That's so much cheaper than getting like a cable package.
Oh, yeah.
Holy
It really
shit.
is.
But for the Hulu thing, that's just basic
Regular Hulu.
Not
It is
ad-free-
basic Hulu,
not ad free Hulu.
not ad-free Hulu.
Okay, 'cause I
you
pay.
can upgrade it to ad-free Hulu.
Because I'm already paying for ad
So
free.
you could do that bundle and upgrade to ad-free Hulu for like $1 or $2.
They got
more,
all
I
the
think.
stages that you
If
want.
it's $1 and it's $13.99 a month, then I'll
That's still
probably pay for
a
that.
good deal, man.
That
I
is
get
a
Hulu
great
for
deal.
free with Spotify, so I don't really need to do this. But
Sure.
man, this is
But you
really a
can
good
add-
deal.
Well, you don't
Or-
need to do this because you live with me.
No, also that too.
But if you wanted to, you could add your Disney Plus to this.
I could.
Like,
yeah.
or people who already have Hulu are going to be able to just be like, okay, yes, I also want
For a
Disney
couple
Plus.
more bucks, I
For a
get
couple
all
more
of
bucks.
Disney. Sure.
That's gonna be what I'm gonna do because I'm already paying for ad free Hulu. I've spoiled myself with ad free stuff.
Yeah.
So to get ad free Hulu and Disney Plus for only like
$13.
$13 a month, that's like do it. This is already great.
For the price of Netflix, you get 3 streaming services.
HBO Max
That
is
insane.
Man,
That is, oh boy.
I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see how much HBO Max is.
Did you guys watch HBO Max's sizzle reel trailer? By the way,
Yeah, it was dumb.
No.
it was real bad.
It was real dumb.
It was banking real hard on Game of Thrones.
Oh,
really?
Yep.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
that sucks.
and weirdly Batwoman.
Yep.
But not the other CW shows.
Nope.
But
And
Batwoman.
Doom, and Doom Patrol.
Yeah, and Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
That's weird.
wow.
Yeah.
Show me like, hey man, we got The Sopranos, we got The Wire, we got.
There was like Sopranos.
Was
in
there?
it.
Okay, good.
I'm just saying like they really hyper focus. Like it opens with Game of Thrones. It closes
season,
with Game
though?
of Thrones. It's Jon Snow waking up from being
6. Okay.
you know,
That's-
and then
it's still good at that point.
and then it's like a capsule. Well, I mean, you know, they're saying like, hey, you want to watch all of Game of Thrones? And I'm like, everybody did that, man. What
Yeah.
do you
multiple times.
I
Yeah.
bought the Blu-rays for Game of Thrones. I don't
And of course,
need
Friends.
anything.
Friends is a staple of the sizzle reel trailer too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gilmore
Friends.
Girls will be on it.
Man, it's gonna make a lot of money just off Friends. I bet people are gonna buy that for Friends.
It's kind of like when
It
people.
really
Not
depends.
me.
It really depends on the price point, which is being rumored at 16.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's being rumored at $16.99, so really 17. You know, because at that point, like, yeah, you could get Friends on that, but I'm like, you could also just buy
the
Friends.
DVD. Yeah.
It's like when people are saying that they're going to get rid of Netflix because of The Office. I'm not going to get. Well, thankfully, my dad's paying for Netflix. I'm just.
But you're not an
excited.
Office
There
like.
are reasons why I will get rid of Netflix soon, and it is not because of they're taking away The Office.
I know.
It's because they're going to take away everything.
Taking away everything,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, they better not take away Nightfall. I really. Season 2 is coming on Tuesday. I really
But see,
like that show.
That's the thing. Who owns Nightfall? History Channel?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on on who owns History Channel.
Mhm.
Perhaps History Channel is independently owned, and they have a deal with Netflix. So therefore, those shows will remain on Netflix. But we don't. I don't know that. I don't know that for sure.
Right.
The thing that's going to kill Netflix, the thing that's going to get people to stop subscribing to Netflix, are the fact that there's not going to be anything on except for original material, and half of that original material is shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody needs that Stranger Things fix, baby.
And that's the thing. Like
True.
Stranger Things is a good enough show where like I don't like. Also, I've had Netflix for as long as I can remember, so
Yeah.
like there's no point in getting rid of it now, I guess. But like Stranger Things is good. The Marvel shows are gone. It's getting rid of all the shows that I binge watch. So it's like, what is really going to be left besides like Stranger Things? House of Cards is over, and I love that show.
There's
I
a lot of
loved
like,
that
there's
show.
a
It's
lot
over.
of. I mean, like some of them are canceled, but there are original gems on Netflix.
Love Death Robots.
Love
Getting a
Death
second
Robots.
season.
Yeah, I need to see that.
They just had that one with Linda Cardellini and Christina Applegate.
Yeah, I don't remember
that-
the name.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
Oh yeah.
yeah, the one that's James Marsden's on it.
Yeah.
It was really good. The name's escaping me.
That Robot Mother movie that we didn't see. That's
Oh,
barely
that
really
Mother?
good.
It was just canceled, but the Drew Barrymore, Timothy Olyphant show.
Oh, Santa Clarita Diet.
Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh.
That's really strong.
That is really
That's
strong.
still worth revisiting.
that got
Yeah.
canceled?
Yeah.
It had 3 seasons.
Lost
right?
in Space is still not canceled?
Season
Question
2?
mark?
Season 2 is supposed to be coming.
So I mean,
Yeah, Santa Claus.
there's
I only
things.
watched
There's
the first episode of Lost
honestly
in Space.
Netflix is fine if Netflix lowers its price, which technically I think it should be able to because it's not going to be paying people to have
Not
things
spending
on it
$100 million
anymore.
on Friends.
Yeah.
I mean, they can. They're bankrupt.
That's also that. Like, how do you ever recover if you're so far in debt?
Honestly, the thing is, like, if Netflix lowers its price point, people won't leave.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, they just have to make that call. They have to be like, they should get ahead of this at this point and say, hey, we're dropping our price down, and then nobody will leave.
Speaking of,
Cowboy Bebop's on Netflix.
That's true.
Damn.
Speaking of, guys, did you hear the latest on MoviePass this week?
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
holy
that's still
shit!
that's
Dude,
still
oh
live?
no, yeah. Go ahead, Brandon. This is juicy, baby.
Apparently, they were changing people's passwords so they couldn't log in and watch movies.
So they would have to either go and redo your password. You know, like when you forget, or they're just like, oh, I'm not going to see a movie today because they were using it too much.
They were, yeah, and not only that, but there was a connection to the Fire Festival. Like one of the people, so I read this recently. There were people invested in MoviePass that had connections to the Fire Festival, that invested in the Fire Festival.
That
No
oh boy,
way.
man, bad business decisions everywhere.
A couple months ago, by the way, they did suspend their service, so they are actually not currently around.
I thought they died. Like,
They
I
are-
haven't heard anything
They
from
are dying the slowest death I've
I
ever
still
seen.
have my MoviePass card upstairs in my drug box.
Yeah, I have it too, just to be sure. Like, I have copies of my emails. Of, like, I canceled.
Yeah.
Just in case it ever tries to resurface on.
What's this-
on,
what's
like,
this
funds, and I'll
1099?
be
What the
like,
hell?
what do you mean?
Yeah,
That's some shit, dude. That's
it's
hilarious.
so dumb.
I thought it was dead.
Me too.
And then
so
it's
did
like,
I.
oh.
I'm scrolling through IGN. MoviePass. What?
Yeah.
My wallet doesn't feel safe until it's dead.
Yeah, right?
Honestly, I feel like in 3 years it can sneakily come back up and it'll be like, what do you mean MoviePass is billing me?
In like a year, it charges everybody who ever had it like $20, and it just instantly makes like $5 million, and it just like it goes away forever. It's like we got our money, we escaped.
Right, yeah, that's
It's like a con.
Yeah.
I deleted my card from their app
Smart.
before I deleted
Oh
the
god,
app.
I should do that. That's so smart.
Yeah, so before
Yeah.
I deleted the app, I was like, nope, delete card.
Smart, dude.
just like delete everything. Wipe.
Yeah.
Remember, MoviePass was so good for like a couple months.
Remember?
We
I
saw a movie
remember.
every single day.
Yeah.
The dream.
Anyway.
The dream's dead.
But before we move too far from this topic, I wanted to ask, because I was thinking about it when you brought it up, if Netflix went under, what do you think happens with all the original stuff?
It dies.
Ooh.
Do they go to Blu-ray? Do they become buy these seasons digitally on Amazon?
Some of them are. A lot of those things are available for
No.
purchase.
Yes, exactly. But there's a lot that aren't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't just have that kind of catalog and then it just disappears. So like, where does Netflix set? Theoretically, if Netflix just stupped all of its programming, where will it go?
That's
Just
So it'd have
just an
to-
idea.
It would have
hypothetically.
to, like any other
it
studio
might get bought.
that would go under. It would get bought and
Yeah,
put out by
actually.
someone else.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
super interesting.
I think you talked about it last week, but it's possible that Universal might actually just buy Netflix in order to create their own streaming service.
I think it's the smartest play for
That's
them.
instead of doing your own. Yeah, that's a lot
Because
smarter.
Universal's already talking like, we want to compete, and I'm like, that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
You can't compete.
You can't. Disney's.
You're already making bad decisions a la The Hunt. So why not just bundle
Man.
up with Netflix? If they bundle up, that's the thing. Netflix lowers the price and Universal bundles up. That's a more appealing...
Yeah.
This reminds me of Marvel
Service.
Unlimited, and there's a lot of like digital only comics that are made for like the scrolling, and it's really great. Like the stuff they do with digitally only comics is super cool. But if Marvel Unlimited ever goes away, there's dozens and dozens of comics that will just never get published. Maybe
They're already getting published.
are they?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, sweet, good. Okay, I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, every now and then I'll just see like digital first comic now
Okay,
in print.
cool. Because
So,
I definitely know there's a Thanos one that came out that I saw, but
there's a Jessica Jones one.
okay,
Cloak and Dagger.
okay, good. Then I'm happy.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so in the same call that happened, Bob Iger said that they are currently developing TV shows for Disney Plus based off of new properties that they recently purchased from Fox, or borrowed. Fox
they
properties.
own 'em.
They own Fox.
They're theirs now.
Home Alone, Night at the Museum, Cheaper by the Dozen, and The Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Now, let me tell you, the internet was not happy about the Home Alone one.
Oh, I heard. I was driving to work and I was listening to K-Rock and Stryker and Klein. They were straight up saying, "It's like, yeah, people are mad about
And,
the
like,
Home Alone thing."
The reason why people thought that they were talking about a Home Alone movie, they were going to remake Home Alone, but that's not what happened. It's a TV series based off of the movie. Also, there are 5 sequels to that movie,
All straight to DVD.
And if that doesn't
Except the
ruin the
second one.
franchise, then nothing
No,
will.
funny thing is, they actually mentioned the 5 sequels and like, hey, these sequels suck, so Home Alone is fine. You're fine.
It's fine.
I just want to see, and somebody posted this on Twitter, I want to see, like, it's old man, what's his name, Kevin McAllister?
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin.
He posted out a picture.
It was him, yeah.
It was him. Macaulay Culkin posted out the picture
and the
of
Sticky
himself.
Bandits are like, get out of jail, and they're coming for revenge. And I'm like, oh, baby, I want that movie hard.
Yeah.
Because I don't want a reboot. Just get 25 years later, baby.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what you were talking about. Macaulay Culkin posted out a picture of himself at home, like with a beer gut and sitting on his laptop with a bandana.
Oh,
and he's just like, hey guys, this is what an updated Home Alone reboot will look like. Disney, get at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
He's been showing up on a lot of Red Letter Media stuff. It's great.
Apparently he's also a fan of The Weekly Planet.
I believe it.
Which
That
is
dude's a super nerd.
Which is really funny. So The Weekly Planet, which is a podcast that you and I listen to, Ryan.
Wow.
Do you?
Didn't even ask.
I know you listen to it.
But we
can't
just assume.
I've listened to some, yeah.
Okay. But he posts, apparently, like, Macaulay Culkin posted something about The Weekly Planet, and everyone like James, who runs is like, holy shit, Macaulay Culkin listens to my show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a while ago, he was actually on that Angry Video Game Nerd talking about the Home Alone games. It was actually really cool. I really enjoyed it.
He has a website called Bunny Ears that he's trying to heavily promote. It's like a storytelling website.
But yeah, I think this goes into we'll talk about something else with Fox as well, but I think this is a good use of some of those properties, especially Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I think calls for a TV series, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not. That's like not up my alley. It's like, it's a kid series.
I'm actually interested in the Night Museum one.
Those Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, the first three were actually excellent films.
Were they?
Yep,
they were.
Cool.
They actually were.
Saw all three in theaters.
I mean, like, yeah, they're made for families, for kids, but they're well made.
Oh yeah,
and they're
I'm sure.
entertaining. They're actually.
And there's a bunch of books, right?
I was surprised how well done they were.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I didn't see
and
the
there's a
fourth
bunch of
Booger's
books.
Revenge.
And then the fourth one came out, and that was
Yikes.
Did you see
yikes.
it?
No, because they recast, and that looked real bad.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Oh.
Yeah, and I mean, Night at the Museum could be a good TV series. Like, I think there's some good stuff here.
Like the night guard goes into different parts of the museum. He learns more about different. It's like a different history period every
I
week.
like all three of those movies, honestly.
Yeah, they're fun.
So do I.
What's his name? Dan Stevens was Lancelot in the third one.
He
was?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll say
shit, I
this.
didn't recognize him.
This feels very much like a... Well, it's no risk to us because these weren't franchises we cared about, so let's make these. And I want them to be more tactful with the things they got from Fox. I don't want them to just do it because they're like, well, that could be cool.
Mm-hmm.
We could just slam that out real quick. I want them to have the same respect they have for the other franchises they own, which is like, okay, we don't do this unless we've really got a reason.
Well,
We don't do this unless we've got an idea.
their remakes aren't that.
Sure, but that's not so much. But that's not really what I mean.
Sure.
Because that's
like
doing
they
the
got
same.
Marvel, they got
that's
Star
doing the same
Wars.
story again.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
Not their own
how
material.
they don't make a Wreck-It Ralph sequel unless they feel like they want
Sure.
to. They don't make Frozen 2 except that it made a ton of money, and then they realize that they actually had a good idea.
I thought Incredibles 2 was really good.
And that's Pixar. That's always been Pixar's policy.
Yeah.
But I mean, Disney's usually pretty stingy about returning to a franchise.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Not remaking it, but returning
Well,
to it.
it should be fair. Like, I just realized something a couple weeks ago that, if you look at the revenue that comes into Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, Disney Animation,
Merchandise.
it's just all four of those revenue streams give them good revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, a lot of revenue comes from those four studios that they own. Not a lot of revenue comes from Disney Studios. And that's their primary studio system. So I think that's why they've decided to focus mostly on remakes, because that brings in a lot of revenue.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So it's like, I think a lot of it came from like, well, if our major studio isn't bringing in revenue, what do we do? We'll
Which
just
really their major studio should be their animation studio.
it really should be.
Yeah, it totally should.
Anyway. Moving on.
But yeah,
that is an interesting thing, Brandon. Yeah, like Disney itself like makes the least amount of money for themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
that's super interesting.
Think about all like the Disney movies, like the Disney Studios movies. Like most of them flopped before they started remaking all their animated films.
Yeah. That's super interesting.
Yeah, like I thought that was really weird. The other thing is that they said, so Bob Iger and the same thing, same call. Bob Iger posted, because we get a lot of information from these calls now, which I think is real funny. So apparently Disney cited a Q3 loss of $1 billion,
Oh boy.
Oh wow.
This is so dumb. So there's going to be a lot of dumb stuff, and there's kind of a worrying quote that I will read out. So one thing is, Disney was projected to make $21 billion. They only made $20 billion. Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And like not even
Our stocks.
the stock like dropped 4% because of it, and like there's 3 major movies that are supposed to come out soon.
Mhm.
That's probably going to make $1.5 billion anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But so they blamed Dark Phoenix because once Dark Phoenix came out, they had owned Disney, they had owned Fox, and so that was now their one of their revenue streams. So they blamed Dark Phoenix for that. Sure.
I mean, it wasn't $1 billion only for Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure it was definitely a disappointment for what they wanted for an X-Men movie. Sure.
Yeah. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So Disney cited Fox's box office bomb, Dark Phoenix, as a major factor in that quote giant loss, along with marketing costs for other upcoming Fox films such as Ford v Ferrari. So Fox was
Oh,
putting
that looks good.
Yeah, that looks good. So Fox is putting a lot of marketing into a lot of their films, rightfully so. Like they got. I thought they had a good slate coming out this year. Like a lot of the movies that are coming out this year, I was kind of really excited about.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see Ford v Ferrari.
Me too. James Mangold, hell yeah. However, Bob Iger doesn't agree. Bob Iger says one of the biggest issues was the Fox Studio performance, which was well below where it had been, and well below where we hoped it would be when we made the acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, kind of talking about
Was Alita a Fox movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember 26th Century Fox?
Oh yeah.
Dude, yeah, that's awesome.
So I'll just read the article from here. As a result, Disney has scrapped much of Fox's film development slate, with Iger tasking Disney Film Brass to take the Fox slate, in Iger's words, quote, in a new direction with an all-new development slate that will focus on a select group of properties. Iger told investors it will probably take a solid year, maybe 2 years, before we can have an impact on the films in production. We're all confident we're going to turn around the results of Fox live action. So that explains why their slate that came out didn't have any Fox films on it after next year, because obviously they're too well in production for next
Yes.
year to change anything. Ryan, you mentioned I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. I think you're not wrong about that. I try not to be.
No, but for this situation, like the quote he gives, definitely there's more of a reason than I would think normally.
Yeah,
because this definitely sees like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of some Fox movies. I'm like, he straight up said that.
We're going to get rid of some Fox movies, and we're going to focus on franchises.
Yeah,
and that's the Disney model right now. Focus on franchises.
Yes.
I was hoping that when Disney acquired Fox, they wouldn't go that route. They would allow Fox to be their independent properties, their less IP driven properties, like Miramax or Touchstone was. But now that I'm seeing this quote, it kind of leads me to believe that that's not the case.
Yeah. Again, I think the way he phrased it, and because it is by Bob Iger too, and we don't like that guy. It seems very negative.
Bob Iger, 2022. What, 2024?
2024.
Whatever.
God, if he had a presidential election every 2 years, Jesus Christ. I think if we wait a year or two, I don't think it's going to be as bad as it is, because one, he'll be gone.
It's true.
But I do think if you just bought this huge company and then this last year of movies were bad, I can understand why you would go this way.
Yeah.
Like, they need to make money above everything else. That being said, like, Home Alone, Night at the Museum, those are all, like, huge blockbuster movies that can get turned into billion-dollar franchises.
Yeah.
I think the original properties are more in trouble than, like, doing something with Alien or Predator or Home Alone, like that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's the original stuff that we really have to worry about.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
like,
I do agree with that.
I don't want them to get rid of the original properties.
Yeah.
I think we'll still see a Kingsman 3. I now, after this quote, I'm certain we're seeing more Predators and more Aliens in the coming years.
Yeah. Which I want.
Obviously, we got like four Avatar films, but I don't want them to only focus on those films.
Yeah.
Like there's a rumor.
Ready or Not, stuff like that.
There's a rumor floating around that Fox Searchlight is only going to be able to acquire films and not produce films anymore. If that is true, I'm worried, because Fox Searchlight was, like Sony Picture Classics. They were the only people around town that were putting money into independent films. I don't want to lose that.
I mean, luckily we still got A24, but it's not a Disney joint.
And Blumhouse under Universal, they put out some independent films also.
But
horror.
But they also take away movies.
I wasn't there for that, Ryan.
No, I'm just saying, like,
kidding.
Universal like maybe isn't always the best.
Right. But so there's not a lot of the IP-driven industry that we're in right now can't sustain itself for another decade. Let's say hypothetically another decade. I'm being a little generous there, honestly. We need to start looking at the future and making and not getting rid of the independent stuff. That independent stuff, not a lot of it's going to hit, but some of it will.
One thing that was being talked about, and I'll let Sparkz and Ben talk because I haven't said anything yet. Quentin Tarantino makes original movies.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, like, who was it? I think it might have been Patrick Williams saying, like, he is really the last true independent filmmaker. He gets to make $150 million independent blockbusters about the 1960s in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Nobody gets to do that. Nobody gets to do that.
Robert Meyer Burnett was talking about how, like, we used to have movies like Network.
Network's awesome.
Network's great.
Yeah.
That was a major studio blockbuster.
Nice Guys.
Nice Guys. Shane Black's Nice Guys is a great movie, independent.
And again, like,
Warner Brothers.
There are always like independent movies being made, but the real problem is nobody goes to see them.
Yes.
And that's a fundamental problem that like just us as a culture need to get over. Is like, hey, don't just go see things that have a recognizable name.
It's we often see people tweeting like, I'm tired of all these.
I'm tired of Marvel movies. Where's the independent movies? You don't see them.
You're not seeing them.
Did you see Midsommar? No, you did not.
Midsommar did really well, actually. I was looking at the numbers.
Somebody, oh my god, my coworker at work said, Ryan, I saw Midsommar and I thought of you. And I was like, that makes me so happy. Thank you. I'm the spooky guy at work. That makes me so happy.
You're inquisitive. Do you have anything you wanted to add, Sparkz?
Well, okay, so real quick, like glass half positive, I think that this was kind of, in some ways, an inevitability of the acquisition. And what I'd like to believe, not that I'm saying it will happen, but what I'd like to believe is that you kind of need to get the house in order.
Yeah.
And that means, like, the franchise things have to be in a good place so that you can kind of let them be manufacturing, and anything independent after that you can kind of scout around, and you can bring that to the table. Once the house is built, you can start filling it with other things.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of the position we're in, is that there was going to have to be reshuffling because Disney was getting a hold of properties that they hadn't signed off on. Of course they were going to look at some of them and go, I don't know if we need this, especially coming from a studio that didn't have an entirely terrible slate lined up for this year, but did have things like Dark Phoenix on there that they'd shoved out, in a way that wasn't handled well.
Talk about when we were discussing about having an episode about the summer movie season.
Sure,
this summer movie season was shit. If you weren't a Marvel or a Disney movie, you failed. You bombed hard.
Thinking about it, like there's some pretty bad ones. Wow.
I mean, not even just like bad quality,
or
films.
A small studio film, because the A24 films did great.
Yeah, you're right.
Hell yeah.
But there's a lot of like
if you were in the big leagues, you didn't do so good if you weren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's been a bad summer for the industry. Like I was looking at the top 5. Alita's in the top 5. Alita almost bombed.
So
really?
So this
Yeah.
is how I'm gonna put that. So that's my optimistic where I think that this can go, because this moment that we're in, this moment where we're in the beginning of what's actually happening at the studio and the change and what that means, you have to place set the things that are the major properties first so that you can trickle down to focusing on the smaller ones.
Right.
And I feel like that was inevitable, and it's not going to be for another 2 years because of how film production works that we're going to see if they start picking up more original things to fill in the spaces.
Right.
I think that can happen. I think it will happen. I do think that that's just kind of where we are.
Sure.
But going to your point, the big blockbuster bubble and big IPs, that bubble will burst. The thing is that we're probably already seeing it with what you just said about the summer. So I'm not so worried, because even if they are pulling all of the big IPs at Fox, independent films are still being made other places. Independent films are still getting audiences, and because we live in this age where a lot of people can make movies pretty easily
and cheaply,
if they have an idea, as long as it's not some giant epic, and then you know
look at
what
the
they do well, and then they wind up getting hired at Marvel and they make a big epic movie there. That's kind of how things are going right now.
Ryan Coogler made Fruitvale Station, and then he made Creed, and then he got to make the biggest movie of the year.
So my point is, like, I'm not so worried about the future of independent and original material, because I think the audience is going to be thirsty for it, regardless of if the companies start pumping out only solid giant IPs. In fact, the more that I think they drive the market for that, the more that smaller studios like A24 are just going to rise up and show, hey, look, we can just do this. We can just do whatever we want over here.
This year, A24 moved from just a plain distributor to a financier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're actually putting money into movies now.
Which makes sense because they have the pool.
Yeah.
So things like that. Legion M's another where small thing that funds these films like Kevin Smith's film or Mandy. The possibility always exists. So I'm not so worried about the future of independent original films. They're going to find their ways to get out there. It's kind of a market you can't stop now.
Yeah.
Pushing towards larger IPs, if that is the decision, which I do agree with you, I think that's the bad way to go for the company. If they do it, it's going to backfire on them the same way that the way they handled things back in the early 2000s backfired on them.
Sure. I get that.
I also think if Fox Searchlight doesn't make their own movies and only acquires, I still think that could be a pretty good thing because that means that they're actively looking for new talent instead of just like using in-house stuff. They're reaching out to try to find new filmmakers, and I think that can also be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean it's a give and take, really.
Yeah. Again, it's like going to be. We're not going to know this stuff for like 2 years.
Right.
General overall, I agree with you that that's not a great direction for the company. I hope it's not the lasting stance. Even if it is, though, the future of film is still bright in other places.
Sure. I just want to clarify real quick. Looking at the top 5 box office of the year, just for it's $1 billion and then Alita with $400 million.
Yikes!
That is, so in the top 4 are Disney and then it's Alita.
I'm really proud of Alita.
But actually, yeah, that's kind of cool. But Alita came in at a loss, like
because it was super expensive.
They lost money on Alita, and that's in the top 5. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, I think that's a specific movie because it didn't make a lot of money here. I don't think, right? Not in America.
It didn't make a lot of money anywhere.
Okay, yeah.
Like it still made money.
But it was like almost like I think like a $200 million movie. It was so like I can see why that movie specifically lost money.
And if there are major studio films under it, that means they also lost money.
Yes. Yeah, being the 4 top movies being Disney. So can you tell me what it's a Endgame? What else?
Endgame, Lion King, because Lion King crossed $1 billion this week.
Okay.
Yeah, which I was surprised, honestly.
I was surprised.
Aladdin.
Shit, really?
Yeah,
Wow,
Aladdin
okay.
made $1 billion.
Wow.
Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 is at $900 million.
Really?
Is it
Yeah.
Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel was this
No.
year.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Captain Marvel $1 billion.
Oh,
It
wow.
was like 2 months before Endgame.
I can't believe The Lion King and Aladdin made more money than Toy Story 4.
Me
Wow.
too.
That's bananas.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like just because it has 4 at the end, and like the people are just like, I don't need that.
To be fair, I know a lot of people that felt like there was no need for a Toy Story 4 after Toy Story 3, and I get it.
No, I do too. It's still
I
a
get
great
it.
movie.
It's still a really good movie, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I understand how you look at Toy Story 4 and go, really?
It's like a mental thing. You see a 4 and you're like, wow, that's one too many.
Yeah.
Nah, dog.
I think it goes more than that. Like 3 ended.
Oh yeah,
Like, that
yeah.
was an ending,
story ending.
Yeah, and I understand the feeling like no, I don't know that you can.
It's
top
almost
that
like
ending.
Brandon like I don't think I need Doctor Who anymore. Like, oh, I don't need Toy Story. Toy Story ended.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
need that.
I get
I
it.
get it.
All right. Let's move on.
Damn.
Good talk.
That was our summer movie season talk. Hope you enjoyed it.
Damn. I'm so proud and sad for Alita.
Right.
Because like I like that movie and like it's super bold, but like it's so expensive. So it's like
Yeah.
so many factors. It's a shame.
Anyway, moving on.
Anywho.
Speaking of Fox,
Oh.
Fox 2000 was gearing up production before they were ceremoniously buried and killed and gone and whatever. And I'm not bitter, but
I mean, unceremoniously.
yeah, whatever.
No ceremonies here.
Fox 2000 was working on an adaptation of a book series called Children of Blood and Bone. Now that Fox 2000 no longer exists, a lot of those IP that they were working around are up for grabs.
Ooh.
And this property has caught the eye of Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. So it looks like Disney may allow Lucasfilm to produce movies that aren't an Indiana Jones film or a Star Wars movie,
Fine with me.
which is a first for Lucasfilm.
Red Tails.
A big change.
Red Tails was
Lucasfilm, yeah.
Lucasfilm?
He was like heavily involved.
Yeah,
That
he
movie-
directed that, didn't he?
No.
Oh, he did?
That movie's really bad.
Oh.
No, he was just like
I mean, he's
it
directed
was-
bad
It
movies.
was well, oh yeah. It was his story. I don't think it was a script, but it was his story, and he was like the guy who got it made.
Yeah, but this would be a big change for Lucasfilm anyway.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Especially under Disney. Like the idea that Lucasfilm would be given more. Like Marvel isn't allowed to produce anything other than Marvel movies.
Mhm.
Like Lucasfilm.
Also,
Lucasfilm
like
doing this would be
Indiana
cool.
Jones is gonna have like one more movie and then possibly be dead. Star Wars is gonna be dead for a little bit. They need a franchise in the interim, I think, or
I mean, yeah.
something to make the money while Star Wars and Indiana Jones are dead.
Yeah.
While they're waiting.
Do you have a description of Children of Blood and Bone?
I do.
Okay.
Because I've never heard of this.
All right. So Kathleen. So Kay Oyegan who's one of the writers of This Is Us, is writing the script.
Okay. So it's a sad movie.
The novel, published by Henry Holt Books for young readers, conjures a stunning world of dark magic and danger as a young heroine teams up with a rogue princess to restore magic in the land of Orisha. Sure. In the aftermath of her mother's death. Quote, the greatest danger, the outlet notes, may be Zelie herself as she struggles to control her powers and her growing feelings for an enemy.
Okay, so real quick, you don't know off the top of your head who's the person writing the script for this?
K. Oyegin.
This Is Us.
Oyegin.
K. Oyegin.
They did This Is Us, the TV show.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Kayyoyegun.
This is a young adult book?
Yeah.
Young adult series? Okay.
Young adult fantasy series. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, I wanted to, not to be race profiling, I want to see if she was black. Because Children of Blood and Bone is a 2018 young adult fantasy novel by Nigerian-American novelist Tommy Adeyemi.
Oh.
The book, Adeyemi's debut novel and the first book in a planned trilogy, follows heroine Zili Adebola as she attempts to restore magic to the kingdom of Orisha following the ruling class Kosidan's brutal suppression of the class of magic practitioners. Zili belongs to the Magi.
That sounds cool.
So I was like, oh man, I really hope that's not like a white screenwriter doing this, because that's a bad play.
Yeah,
man, I want to read this book.
I want to read this book. That sounds great.
Adding to cart.
Either way, it looks like Disney is going to move forward with this property.
Cool.
Whether or not Lucasfilm is the one to do it, Kathleen Kennedy is trying.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
I'm going to read this book. We'll talk about this later.
And you know what's really cool about Kathleen Kennedy? I've said before, is why Kathleen Kennedy is the type of producer.
My God, what a cover!
Kathleen Kennedy is the type of producer that will do whatever she can to let you make the movie that you want to make.
The Last Jedi.
All of those Star Wars movies are Rogue One are exactly the type of movie.
Han Solo.
Well, it's the same movie that Ron Howard wanted to make.
Okay, yeah,
It's
true.
not the movie that Lord and Miller wanted to
No,
make.
it's true.
Those films are the movies that those creators wanted to make.
Yeah,
and that's why I like.
And they're big. Those are big ass blockbusters too.
Yes.
So that's
I'm
cool.
going to need to get a dictionary, learn how to translate these things.
He's still looking at the book.
I am. Second book comes out December 3rd.
There
Cool.
you got months.
Serious, sweet.
It's
All right,
called
guys.
Children of Virtue.
Remember last week when when Tom Hardy
And
jumped the gun?
Vengeance.
What?
Remember last week when Tom Hardy jumped the gun about Venom?
Yes.
No, I was sick. What?
Okay, so last week Tom Hardy jumped the gun. on
I
Venom.
listened to the episode. I'm just messing with you. Yeah.
And Andy Serkis said that he was in talks. He just hadn't signed a contract yet. Well, the day after he signed a contract,
Yeah, I'm not
Oh
surprised.
yeah, I remember this.
he is officially directing Venom 2. He posted to Twitter, "It's happening. The symbiote has found a host in me, and I'm ready for the ride. Can't wait. #Venom. #Venom 2. #Marvel."
So I'll say this makes me again we talked about it last week, but I'm more excited for him to direct it than I would if Ruben Fleischer was coming back, because Zombieland 2 didn't really tickle my fancy. That trailer didn't tickle my fancy. So all I have going off of is Zombieland 1, and I like the movie a lot. Don't like Venom. So new direction and new
He
take.
had to have directed films between those two movies, right?
No,
Really?
he tried to make that TV show. Remember?
But that was so long ago.
He hasn't done. No.
His only two movies are Zombieland and Venom.
Can you double check for me, Sparkz?
I am. I'm on it.
If he did do anything else, we didn't see it.
Because that's some
That's a gap.
That's some George Miller shit.
That's like a 9-year gap.
Yeah.
That's worse. That's worse than George Miller.
No, George Miller's like George Miller waited like 20 years or something after Babe.
The Babe.
He made Babe and then he made Mad Max.
Okay, he followed Zombieland by making the film 30 Minutes or Less and Gangster Squad.
I
Oh,
like 30 Minutes or Less.
shit. Okay, 30 Minutes Less is good. Gangster Squad is actively bad, and that movie has like the best cast. It's like the best trailer.
Is that, Johnny Depp in that one?
No,
And then
I want to say yeah.
yes,
and then
and
he made
Josh
Venom.
Brolin.
So he went from Gangster Squad to Venom.
He produced 2 other movies, but he directed Venom next.
Okay, I forgot about 30 Minutes or Less. That one's fine.
I like 30 Minutes or Less.
Gangster Squad is a massive disappointment as a gangster fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I just had to look at what Gangster Squad was. Geez.
Yeah.
me
The trailer is
check that.
awesome. It's got Emma Stone in it. Yeah.
Yeah. If I show
Ryan
you a poster,
Gosling's in it?
you'll remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Like
was
it's
bad.
like the best cast. So after reading Absolute Carnage, and we know Carnage is going to be in the second movie, let's see if Woody Harrelson comes back, because he just did that because he was friends with the Zombieland director. I hope, because like,
He's friends with Tom Hardy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he's also in a movie that the guy directed.
So here's the quote from. So he was asked a couple days later. He says, "It feels like a very contemporary story, and I think hopefully that it's going to be an extraordinary piece of cinema. I can't tell you any of the ideas right now. I'm in the beginning stages, but I have some very clear ideas about what I want to see visually and how we can take the characters to another dimension. I've known Tom for years and admired him as an actor and producer, and we've wanted to work together for years."
Right on.
They're going to make this movie in 3D.
Well, I mean, every big movie's technically in 3D. If you
I mean,
if you
like
choose.
really hard 3D.
Yeah.
Are they going to put Tom Hardy's face on the Venom symbiote like they did in Mowgli?
No, please no.
I haven't seen Mowgli, but apparently it's pretty good.
I've heard mixed things. I don't know. I know Weekly Planet likes it. I will say Andy Serkis knows special effects and mocap better than anyone in Hollywood, probably. So, like, I am more positive on this outlook than if the Zombieland guy was coming back. Honestly,
for Andy Serkis's second directorial film, this is not where I wanted him to go.
well, no, but like I imagine Mowgli didn't get him get the response that he wanted, right?
Yeah.
And so he's looking at Hollywood. He's like, how can I make a big move in Hollywood? I guess it's doing this shitty Marvel sequel, but he actually might make it good.
Might.
Because like everything he's been attached to so far, I mean, it's been good. That dude's talented.
He's only ever directed second unit for a Hobbit, and he did.
But the Hobbit movies don't
Mowgli.
look bad. That's not the problem with the Hobbit movies.
But I mean, he's not tested as a director for me to really make a good call here.
No, I agree. He's just been so surrounded by Hollywood and like the behind the scenes stuff for 20 years. Like, I'm just trying to look positive on this any way I can.
I feel that.
Any way I can. Venom sucks.
Should we get some good news?
Yes.
Unless we have any more we want to say about Venom 2?
I got nothing.
All right. Hopefully Eminem comes back.
I have nothing to add on what I said last week. So
hopefully Eminem comes back. All right.
Oh.
Event Horizon. Guys, we love Event Horizon here.
Brandon and I do.
Sparkz?
yes, I also love Event Horizon.
Sparkz loves it.
I knew that.
I've never seen it.
I also watch
You're
the
in for a
Weekly
treat.
Planet.
Event Horizon is a shut up. Event Horizon, for those of you who don't know, is a haunted spaceship movie where the spaceship comes back from hell and Sam Neill is in it and he's demented.
You could call it a ghost ship.
You could.
You could call it a ghost ship.
Lawrence Fishburne's in it. It's a great movie.
It is. It's super spooky. It's got great visuals. Sam Neill is real spooky in it.
Yeah, he is.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyway, we've been seeing a lot of like Ad Astra, Night Flyers. We've been seeing a lot of things that like, oh my
fuck, I
god,
forgot about Night Flyers.
that looks. I'm totally getting like Event Horizon vibes from this. Well, do you know what we're going to get Event Horizon vibes from next?
The TV show.
The Event Horizon TV series coming to Amazon.
Oh, to Amazon. Good.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Do we have a team?
Adam Wingard is directing it.
That's fine. That's okay. I will forgive him. I won't forgive him, but he did Death Note.
Like I won't forgive him.
He did
Death Note.
other. I forget the other movies he directed. I think he did.
I looked at his IMDb and like there's like one film I liked of his. Maybe two. Godzilla vs Kong isn't out yet.
Oh, he's doing that too, right? I remember up until Death Note, I've liked his stuff. I'll say that.
Yeah. He did the VHS stuff. I like VHS.
Yeah. This is cool. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I'm really stoked to see more Event Horizon. I think this is a...
You're Next. That's what you're
Oh my god, Your Next
He
is
did
so
Your
good.
Next and The Guest, which were both great.
He did The Guest.
Yeah, but he messed up Death Note.
I know!
I mean, okay, wait, to be fair, I don't blame him. That script was terrible.
He was hired to make an American Death Note. So,
Wait,
yes.
did
That
you
movie
write
is
that
bad.
script?
But The Guest and Your Next are, like, honestly two of the best horror movies of like... That dude knows horror very well.
He also did the latest Blair Witch.
That's right. And, like, I don't hate that movie. That's fine. But, yeah, he's got definitely a horror style that I think will translate perfectly to Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm really stoked for an Event Horizon.
Ben, we're going to watch Event Horizon, and you're going to love it, baby.
Okay.
Spooky ghosts.
Event Horizon
Space
is-
ghosts, coast to coast.
He was not the writer of Death Note, so I don't blame
Okay,
him
good.
for the writing
Okay.
of it.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for this series. Nothing is known yet. It's still early days, but hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Let's go to Demon
He also
Space.
edits a lot of his movies.
That's cool.
That's cool.
He edited Your Next, The Guest, like
Godzilla vs. Kong?
six of his other films. I don't think he's the editor for.
Does he do the motion
It doesn't
capture
list
for
it
Godzilla?
anyway,
Yeah.
and he definitely didn't edit Death Note.
Okay.
All
Cool.
right.
This is awesome. I'm really glad.
Another show coming to Amazon is Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's TV series Truth Seekers. This will be the first TV series produced by Stolen Pictures, which is their production company.
Super duper.
It's created by by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and they will star in it as well.
It's like spaced all over again.
The show will center around a pair of ghost hunters, one of which is played by Nick Frost, who investigate ghost sightings and other paranormal activity. Simon Pegg is playing a character named Dave, but we don't know what. We don't know what
He's
it
a
is.
ghost.
We don't know anything more.
He's a ghost. Dave's a ghost. Come on, guys.
This is the quote from Nick Frost. He says, Simon, Miles, and I, Miles is one of their producer partners, and everyone at Stolen Pictures are incredibly happy to be making True Seekers with our new partners, Amazon Prime Video. It's been nothing but a joyride in seeing this mad tale of paranormal conspiracy unfold in all its understated brilliance. Amazon's commitment and support of the show and of original programming generally showed us that we couldn't be collaborating with a bigger or better team.
Right on. What was that haunted show about the spooky cops with Adam Scott and
Shit.
because I heard I was so excited for that show.
Oh no!
And then everyone said it was god awful and it
it
got
was
Him and
canceled.
Craig Robson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And I was just like,
God.
it reminds me of that.
I don't
But
remember.
I hope but this is the good version of it.
That was on Fox for a little bit.
I don't
wasn't
remember.
it?
I just remember seeing a commercial and it was really expensive and it was apparently really bad.
Wasn't it like Ghosted?
Ghosted?
Ghosted.
That's what it is.
That's what it was called.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was called Ghosted.
Oh,
I think
wow.
it got canceled like immediately.
No, it got its full season.
That's okay.
I don't think it got a second season.
That's fine.
All right.
Actually, I think it did, and then that
Nobody watched
and then
it?
that got changed when Disney got Fox.
Good.
Finally, something positive
I
from Disney
guess.
buying Fox.
Letting bad things go.
That's too bad. I really was really looking forward to that.
I was too, man. I love those two guys.
Yeah,
It's
and
got
then
16 episodes.
Wow, that's a lot more episodes than I thought it had.
okay, that's 16 hours I'm never gonna watch.
Maybe it got good at the end.
Are they half-hour episodes? Because
Yeah.
they could blow through
Mhm.
16 half-hour episodes.
But you shouldn't. There's other things to watch.
I mean, hell, it's like what, 6 hours?
Yeah.
8 hours?
Yeah,
It's a day.
it's true.
All right.
What's next?
Walmart, but not the Walmart you think. DC Comics
Oh, okay. I was like, is another Walmart?
is continuing their Walmart line with their new additions. The biggest news, however, is that they are finally putting the Walmart giant 100-page issues into comic shops.
Hell yeah, they are.
Yay!
And I contemplated putting some on my list. There's a Scooby-Doo one.
Yes.
Swamp Thing is getting a long form.
I saw that,
one.
baby.
Yeah,
Put
baby.
it in the comic shops. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, more Swamp Thing.
And what was the other additions? There was another addition. Oh, DC Superhero Girls. So not only will they be exclusive to Walmart, they will no longer be exclusive to Walmart. They will still be in Walmart, but they will also be in comic book stores.
Wow, so we can
That-
actually buy them now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because our biggest complaint about these Walmart books is that we try to go to Walmart and there's not there.
I gotta tell you,
'cause
like I recently went to Walmart and I looked for those books and
They're not
still
there.
there weren't any.
I have only ever found them in one Walmart,
Yeah?
and that was in Irvine.
I'm not
that
going
is
there.
so far away.
All right, so they're going to expand to 6 titles. There's going to be a Swamp Thing one, a Flash one, a Teen Titans one, a Justice League of America, a Titans one, and a Wonder Woman one. And they will soon expand. Just going off what I've read.
I'm sorry, did you say Teen Titans and Titans?
Teen Titans
okay,
and Titans.
Cool.
And they will soon expand to TV shows such as Doom Patrol. The Doom Patrol show will get a Walmart comic.
That's some weird shit, dog.
Don't know.
That's like Flash
How I
season
feel about
11
that.
or like season 0 stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's kind of weird.
Smallville
Walmart
season 11, by the way.
Smallville, thank you.
I like
that's-
That I
season.
don't mind
Yeah.
when a show's like over.
Yeah.
But that show is not over.
That's just like supplemental material.
If you made like a Swamp Thing show comic, I'd probably check that out.
Well, but
But-
think about what these are. They are not just original stories. They are collecting other
reprints
stories
and stuff.
So if
Sure.
So if you're like a Doom Patrol TV show fan, you want to read some Doom Patrol. There's the 100-page issue. You got some old Doom Patrol.
that
reprints.
is a good point, actually.
Got Grant Morrison. You got Young Animal. You
Mhm.
got some Doom Patrol there.
It's true.
I think that's not a bad idea.
That is.
You shut up! I hate it.
I mean, because we are still getting
No,
like
I'm just kidding.
like a new Doom Patrol comics out now
Yeah.
with Gerard Way on it and his brother.
That's a good way. That's a good way to get. See, putting these in comic shops, by the way, is also a good way to be like, oh, what's this? A sampling of Doom Patrol comics? Then I come back to my local comic shop and buy the rest.
And then watch the TV show on
then
DC
watch
That's
the
Universe.
never how it happens. You go to Amazon and you look up Doom Patrol, and then
You find the cheapest
you
one.
find the used copies,
The cheapest used
from
copy.
libraries, and you
This one
buy
has a
them.
91%,
Uh-huh.
but this one has 95. I trust it more.
Yeah.
But it is.
I'm just being honest.
No,
That's
yeah.
the reality.
It is nice that it was great that they put them in Walmart. It's great that they were successful. They were successful enough for them to keep going. They got people interested in these comic books. You get new fans who go to Walmart. You see these books, you get interested. But now, because with the new stories, it was a little dumb that the news stories weren't available to comic book fans.
It makes me
and now
actually-
we get the news stories.
It makes me wonder, Brandon, if a lot of regular people were actually buying these, or they were the comic people because they didn't put that many out. It was all the comic people and going buying them all.
Well, so they were at the checkouts. They were always at checkout, so they were like impulse buy.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't
Also
see
over by
them.
they were
Not
by
always.
the-
No.
Okay, because I looked in the
Not
book
always.
section. Yeah.
They were on the magazine rack.
Sometimes. So here's the thing: the Walmart that I saw them at, the one time I saw them, you had to go to that section where like the Pokemon cards are.
Oh,
Not the
kind of
books,
stuff.
and then it's right there.
Stupid.
And there was like a little bin, like a cardboard bin, and that had the comics in it.
Interesting.
Wow, they don't
Wow.
even care.
I
Wow,
guess it
okay.
depends on what the Walmart.
I guess so. Yeah.
So I think in the beginning,
But no, they were never near the books, Ryan.
Maybe that's why I never found them.
I think that in the beginning, probably a lot of like collectors went for them, but I think after a while that stopped.
Yeah. Okay.
I've
It's too much work.
Yeah, it really is. But you know what? They were successful,
I'm glad.
and hopefully they did
Buy
the
the trades.
Hopefully they did the intended thing of getting people into comic book
And
stores.
like we picked up Tom King's Superman book like at the
Yeah,
comic shop.
uh-huh.
So like I'm glad. Yeah, it's actually happening.
Yeah, that Tom King book is in my pull, and when I saw that, I'm like, oh no, this is gonna stay there. I'm gonna be
Yeah, man,
reading this
Box is
later.
an alien.
they turned a 12-issue series. They turned a 12-issue Walmart exclusive into a 6-issue miniseries.
Hey man, do what you got to do.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on up.
Trailers.
Let's do
Oh
it.
man, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
All right,
We
where are
arrived
starting
in the
with?
trailer.
Can we start with the one that makes me the most upset and just get it done?
The Addams Family. Then.
Yay!
Da-da-da-da. This sucks. Da-da-da-da. I don't want to see it. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da.
It's been a while.
Please
No,
stop.
thank you.
It's been a while since I've been so optimistically excited about something and then immediately like
Yeah, I like that
downturned
first
into the
trailer a lot.
garbage of it.
At first,
I only had one complaint from that first trailer, which was like, I'm just a little worried about the portrayal of Gomez because he seems a little like clumsier and klutzier than he should. He should move real smooth. I
He's
just don't like
suave.
his design. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very suave, and I'm like, but I can get by with it.
Yeah,
it's
I can
fine.
get it.
And then we hit this trailer, and I'm like, oh boy,
It turned
wow,
into
no.
like Illumination movie, and that's like my
the
that's-
worst parts of an Illumination movie.
Yeah.
So the first trailer dropped when the first trailer for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker dropped. And I texted you guys my thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker, but I also texted Sparkz. I wasn't too impressed by any of the trailers that dropped that week.
Right.
And I remembered that specifically when this came out, and I realized that I remembered, the Addams Family, like, it's never worked for me. Once the first trailer dropped, this trailer, it's just, maybe it was the animation. I don't like the animation style.
Yeah.
I think Wednesday's design is terrible.
Wednesday's design.
Wednesday's design
Oh, I
specifically.
love her
I
nooses.
hate this,
You don't like
I
the
hate
nooses?
most. And then it's not the nooses. It's her balloon-shaped head.
Well, I mean
and
that's
it's like-
fair. I mean they're all very
And like Gomez, I don't think Gomez should be a short little pudgy dude.
Yeah. See, the reason I'm okay with that because like him and Pugsley are more relatable, and then Wednesday and Morticia are like they look
Sure.
more similar. For me, I've never had a problem with the animation style. It's the core of what this movie is about. It's about them going to New Jersey and going to a new house and just living in a regular world. Like that's the most generic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
In just slightly minor defense of Wednesday's head, her head shape is inspired by the original cartoon series that they made. They're trying to homage to that.
Okay.
That was the shape that they made in 1992.
Hey guys, watch the Steven Soderbergh movies.
Yeah, man, those are fun as hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Christopher Lloyd as Fester is like
Yeah, the
incredible.
live action movies are great. The old live action cartoon is great. The old cartoon series, live action series, cartoon series, two separate things. They're both great. I never had a direct problem outside of Gomez with this animation style. I was like, this is it's a take.
It's trying to do something at least.
I like the exaggeration on characteristics
Exaggerate.
of
That's
them.
what I was trying to say. the word, yeah.
And that was working for me. And then this trailer, it wasn't working for me anymore.
And again, like the first trailer, it's all about like them doing Addams Family stuff in their house. Like that's what I like about it. And then the second trailer, the second that they saw the New Jersey sign, and I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
The the fun of Addams Family is having regular people come to them, and like their house is super twisted and it could kill you at any moment.
And I hate the portrayal of every regular character we see in this trailer.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who this is
Oh,
for.
they're monsters.
I don't know who this
Like,
is playing to. I don't care. It feels like the worst interpretation of what Hotel Transylvania did. I don't know how many Hotel Transylvania movies everybody here has seen.
One.
All three.
Two.
Cool. Okay, yeah, solid. I've seen all three. In the second one, they introduce the human boy. His name escapes me, but the human boy's
Kevin?
parents, whatever. His parents who the whole gimmick is like, oh, they're getting married, so like the parents have to meet the monsters and all this thing. That's not the whole movie, but that's a chunk of the movie, and that was done with at least some characterization and like a deft hand, and like the mom like makes essentially like racist comments toward the monsters in a way, and the husband's like just like, Karen, this isn't how we do this. And it's Nick Offerman, so it's great.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was handled with some kind of thought to it, and this just looks like there's no real intention. Every line that's said in this trailer, I don't find either clever or funny.
Yeah.
It's all just happening, and I don't care.
I thought some of the gags were fine, like her becoming Dr. Frankenstein and bringing the frogs back to life.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought
I'm
the gag was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't care much for the dialogue.
Yeah. No, yeah.
The only part of the atmosphere of this new trailer that I personally liked was Wednesday bringing the frogs back to life. I thought that was funny. But everything else, like what Ryan says, like, hey, we're going to move this ult from our awesome house to New Jersey. It's just like, this already feels dumb.
And like,
And yeah, I agree with Sparkz. The characterizations of like the quote unquote normal people, very just like, this is just like,
you guys have never seen a goth family? Give me a break.
yeah, it's like, this is just like basic pumpkin spice loving white bitch right here. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
No offense to all those pumpkin spice loving
Yeah,
white
if you
bitches
like
that
if
listen to
you
the
like
show.
pumpkin spice,
I'm a
that's-
little offended, but I'll get over it.
if you
okay,
like
bitch.
pumpkin spice, go for it. That's your thing. But it's just not.
I'll tell you what.
It doesn't appeal to me at all. At first, when I saw the animation style, like the first trailer, I was like, you know what, I would be down to see it. And as I keep seeing this style, it doesn't grow on me. It kind of makes it worse for me.
The thing that really like Cousin It is that because
Yes.
that's a name.
Uh-huh.
Cousin
Yeah.
It is an awesome character.
I have a Funko Pop.
Introduced as a pimp because it's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, so like they and like it's like a Snoop Dogg song, and it's like a pimp cane and like
'Cause it's
suede
Snoop Dogg playing
shoes.
It.
Yeah, and I'm like, this feels like a bad animated movie that I don't like seeing.
Related to our topic later today, that is a use of paratext. You are supposed to like it because you realize
'cause
it's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
I just
Oh,
want
boy.
to say, if this was live action and Oscar Isaac was Gomez,
Gomez?
Addams,
almost the whole cast.
And
like,
Charlize Theron was actually
the kids,
Morticia.
the kids
Charlize
are a little
Theron as
different.
Morticia would
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah, that'd
Like,
be
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I would.
Hey
man,
guys, watch the Steven Soderbergh movies. They're great. They're
Yeah.
coming to Blu-ray this year.
man, Raul Julia. What a beautiful man.
Because I'm making the comparison because this is very much like the kind of interpretation of Hotel Transylvania. The part of the not what the plot of those films are, but part of the gimmicks are when the monsters are interacting with people who have never interacted with the monsters before.
Yeah.
That happens in all three of the movies to a different degree. If Tartakovsky had done Addams Family, I would have been happy.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He's too busy making that dope dinosaur show or whatever.
Primal.
Yeah,
Addams
Primal.
Family is really up his alley too.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of why he made, like, I'm sure if you asked Tartakovsky, like, what was part of the inspiration for Hotel Transylvania? It'd
Addams
be
Family.
like, I love the Universal monster films.
Yeah.
I really like them. And I love Addams Family. And I thought about putting those two things together. That's basically what that is.
Yeah.
I just want to rewatch those movies now again because like that second one, it's all about this woman trying to get Fester's money, and he's like
Yes.
this disgusting monster, but she's trying to fall in love, like she's faking it, and like that's so much fun. That is so much fun. That is not at all what I got from this new trailer at all.
All right,
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the good stuff, baby.
Yeah.
Titan season 2 then.
I'm excited for the show, and I know Raven sucks. Sparkz. I know Raven sucks.
Raven sucks, guys.
She sucks.
I
Everything.
heard.
Her
But
new
you know
hair,
what?
Her new hair looks stupid.
Actually, I kind of like it.
I mean, her
it
hair
looks-
before didn't look that good, so
Yes.
it's...
Besides Raven, all the characterization I really enjoyed, and I love seeing Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne. I love this showing Deathstroke because I already knew Deathstroke was in a show because you showed us Rose Wilson, who is his daughter.
Sure.
That means there's going to be some awesome family dynamics between Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson and Rose and her dad.
I really
That's
like
awesome.
seeing Bruce Wayne.
It's awesome, right? And that dude's awesome. Game of Thrones, baby.
Doctor Who, thank you.
Oh, you're right.
He was in 2 episodes of Doctor Who.
There you go. All right.
he was in Seasons of Thrones.
I'm just saying. I know him from Doctor Who.
Seasons.
He was in 8 seasons.
yeah.
You know him from Game of Thrones, too. You watch that.
I did watch the beginning of Game of Thrones.
There you go.
But he was more memorable to me in the episodes with the Angels on Doctor Who that season.
All right.
Hawk and Dove are awesome. Like truly, like really great characters that I've never cared about Hawk and Dove in my life.
Yeah, Hawk and Dove are kind of the standouts, to be honest.
For
I was
real.
talking to a friend of the podcast, Marty Sullivan.
Yeah.
I was talking to him about Titans, amongst other DC show stuff, this past week when I was up in Monterey, and we were talking about it, and I was saying, honestly, the standouts to me are Hawk and Dove. Like, I walked away from that show really, really liking those characters kind of more than any of the main cast.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I
with
really
you.
like Dick Grayson.
I
I think Brendan Thwaites is really good.
think he's doing a great job, but I got really attached to Hawk and Dove.
and I'm so
by
glad
the time
they're
the
like
season was over.
they're like part of the team. Like they're in the show a
Yes.
lot, and like because they know what works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really reveal a lot. Just like the Titans are back.
You know what their vibe reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of what works for me in Cloak and Dagger.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can feel
That's
that.
why I like Hawk and Dove so much. Like they got those characters as a couple down really well.
If
I
the
dig it.
tone of this trailer was the tone of the first trailer for season 1, that show would have gone over very differently.
Yeah, I think. And the show, that's kind of what the show is. It is a darker approach, but I think the marketing was kind of did a disservice to
but
what that
the
show actually was.
But the show, the trailer for the show, the first trailer, shows Robin killing 3 people.
And he doesn't.
Yeah.
And it says F Batman. It's like you're trying to market this super hard when it's not what the show is actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sucks.
So
it kind
like,
of sucks.
I think they did a misstep, and
Yeah.
I think this is correcting that.
I agree.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm so glad this is getting a second season and not Swamp Thing.
Really?
No,
No.
I just had to say it because Swamp Thing's dead forever.
I'd very quickly kill Titans to have
of
Swamp Thing
course.
as much as I like Titans.
We'll sacrifice
Yes.
all of everything for another season of Swamp Thing.
Hell yeah,
I've
baby.
never even seen it.
It's good.
But I'll do it anyway.
Mhm.
I sacrificed the show to get Swamp Thing back.
Don't do that to me.
I think that's going a little too far.
Don't do that to me.
Everything.
Don't make us
Ryan.
pick our favorite child.
Yeah, that's really hard.
Everything, Ryan. Everything.
God.
Wonder Woman Bloodlines had a trailer. This is the new animated movie coming from DC Animation. I still hate Wonder Woman's outfit in these new movies.
It's I've almost kind of grown just like it's Stockholm syndrome. I'm so used to it for like a decade now. I'm just like that's what it is. All right.
This is her costume.
This kind of just looks like a retelling of her origins, but with more villains.
Yeah. Jeffrey Donovan plays Steve Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really cool because I like that actor. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
You should really watch Fargo.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. We got Cheetah. We got Poison. We got
Cybermaid.
Cybermaid.
I think that's her name. Cybermaid.
Sister Cyber.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Cyborg.
Looks
girl.
okay. It doesn't. I mean, it looks about as good as any of the other animated films.
Yeah, and I haven't watched like the last 3 Superman ones.
Yeah, there's nothing exceptionally interesting here, and something that kind of irks me is that it's animated, and I feel like they're not doing anything.
unique or new.
No, like there's.
She's
Let
just
your
fighting-
imagination go
she's
wild.
fighting in a
how
city.
How am I
Ugh.
watching like the same kind of animation stuff happening that I'd watch if I watched? No offense to it, but if I watched Justice League right now, like how am I not watching anything new?
Yeah. And again,
Your
like,
animation.
I feel like
Be creative.
They're trying to pull like the way of the Wonder Woman movie. Like, oh, it's Steve Trevor landing. It's it's like an attack on Themyscira, but it's like bad guys instead of World War II people.
I also have a request from our friend Marty Sullivan since I brought him up, and we're talking about DC animated stuff. He really, really wants us to watch the Batman Samurai film.
Batman
Oh,
Ninja.
Batman Ninja?
Batman
I've heard
Ninja, yeah.
awesome things.
He really wants us to watch that, and he wants us to at least share with him our thoughts on it.
I would love to for a fan. Hell
Because
yeah.
he had a whole thing with me where he went, it was wild, and I'm like, this is coming from you, and he was like, I didn't know what to think.
I've heard some crazy things about it.
Yeah.
And
I've heard very mixed things about it.
I have too, but like in the way where like, oh, I think I'm gonna love it because it's batshit nuts.
Yeah.
Like it goes overboard, like how crazy it is.
I mean, I have it, so I do intend to watch
We
it.
have it on DC Universe, so we just need to pop it up.
I could do that. Pop it in.
Invader Zim also had another trailer.
It's like 9th trailer in a row.
This one actually.
An actual trailer.
All right,
actual
stop me if
plot
you've
trailer.
heard this before. So the plot of this movie appears to be this guy named Zim. He's an alien. He's invading the Earth, and he's
What about
in
Gur?
disguise as a human. He's got Gur with him, and
Gur's a
there's this
robot.
kid named Dib who's convinced that he knows that Zim
Stop!
is an alien.
I heard this before, and it's the entire plot of the whole series.
Oh dang! Well, this is more of that.
Oh, great. Okay,
Works for me.
Honestly, I think you'll enjoy it.
probably.
It's not really going to come up in your mind. Barely an
You know what?
inconvenience.
There you go.
You know what?
yeah.
I have a weird thing with Invader Zim, like really weird, because when that show first came out, I was obsessed with it. I
was too.
freaking loved it. And then I was my first freshman year of college before I met you, Brandon. There's some friends of mine who had the whole series on DVD, and we would watch it. And then as I'm rewatching it as an adult, I'm like, this is what? I don't know if I like this anymore.
It was always weird, and that's why I loved
Yeah,
it.
like so we were talking about Netflix originals earlier.
This is a
Rock,
Netflix original.
no, I know, but Rocko's Modern Life is on Netflix right now.
Oh.
They put the movie I forgot what it's called, but the movie that was supposed to be on Nickelodeon is now on Netflix. We
That's
saw
awesome.
This
Yeah.
is the
This-
same thing.
This
This-
was
I
was
was-
part of this news with
Oh.
Invader Zim when we talked about it a few months ago.
Okay.
We said Invader Zim and Rocco were coming to Netflix.
Yeah, but you would think Rocko's Modern Life, one of the shows that of the 90s, everyone's like, oh my God, I'm so happy it's back. I never liked Rocko's Modern Life. Even in the 90s, I did not like that show. So
this is why we didn't talk about it much, is because nobody here cared about Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah, so
I watched it, but I don't have
I might watch this Invader Zim, but if that trailer... But all the stuff I've been seeing right now is like it just looks like the show. That's cool, I guess.
I haven't seen the show since it went off the air for Butt Ugly Martians, so maybe I'll still like it.
God, Butt Ugly Martians.
Oh, Butt Ugly Martians. I forgot about that.
You said Butt Ugly Martians, and all I could think of was the Martian movie with Christopher Lloyd and Jeff Daniels.
My favorite Martian.
Yeah, My Favorite Martian.
Hell yes, I love that movie.
Boy, what a movie!
What a movie!
Oh, is this in the news that Nickelodeon bought the rights for Garfield?
We don't know what they're doing with it.
No, that's a story I never thought I'd hear. That's so weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zim. Yay, I guess.
The animation looks great. I wish this was an actual trailer that told me something new.
The animation does look good.
I mean, it's better than the last trailer, which was just him laughing in a
toilet.
toilet.
The last 3 times we talked about it have been 10-second trailers.
Yeah.
Like, I give me something to make me want to watch this. Wow, it's the same thing from the show. Give me another something.
Or
else.
that first trailer they put out where it was just music and no dialogue. It's like,
Now,
give me dialogue.
Going back to the Nickelodeon Garfield news. Now, did they announce that it will in fact be Gazorpazorp Field from Rick and Morty, or is it just going to be Garfield?
No, it's just Garfield.
Because that creates different interests on my end.
It's just Garfield.
Unfortunately,
the reason. So I thought about the news.
It was actually a joke.
No, but like I thought about putting it on there because apparently Viacom and Viacom will be is thinking about remerging Paramount and CBS, and this is part of that. So that's kind of neat.
Garfield, a tale of two kitties.
All right. Anything else you guys wanted to touch on before we move on?
Let me think about it. No, probably not.
Sparkz?
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's do our topic. All right, then for our main topic, you guys may have heard of a little movie called Avengers Endgame.
Oh, just that tiny little indie film that hardly made any money?
Yeah.
Do you mean all the money?
Well, this has brought up a conversation that it comes up every now and then. It does come up it used to come up mostly in relation to Star Wars. But the idea of like, I was coming at this from, whose voice should really matter, how an audience interprets a film versus how the creator intended the film. You hear that a lot with Star Wars, definitely. Sure. Like people actively fight George Lucas's vision of Star Wars a lot of the time until we get to the sequels, and then they don't, and then they forget that conveniently. And then,
oh boy, I've been thinking a lot about that, specifically with Death of the Author, and there's so much Star Wars stuff that I'm saving for our talk with Mike. And downright nerdy.
Some of it we should cover here because definitely like it'll prime them up so that they're thinking about it, and also because there's going to be so much Star Wars talk, we're not going to be able to devote a huge section to that.
Well, because it's all the prequel stuff.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And it is where this came from, as far as like our geek sphere.
Also, Harry Potter
after the fact, exactly.
JK just can't stop talking.
She really needs to. But for Avengers Endgame, this came up with the conversation that, we have seen the conflicting reports from the Russo brothers and Marcus McFeely.
People who made the movie.
About what the ending to Avengers Endgame means. Now, I have held the opinion since the film that it is... what matters is how you interpret the film, because the film doesn't explicitly say what one way or the other. I think what matters is how you interpret it. I think that is
I think
important.
it does. I think it specifically does tell you don't change the past because you don't change the past.
No, but the ending the ending can be read two ways, and the way Marcus and McFeely read it, the way
I hate
the
their way. I want them to stop talking.
Either Marcus and McFeely say he just kept his head down and didn't change anything, or of course, or the Russo brothers, of course, he went to an alternate reality and lived out his life in an alternate reality. Either way, we're not here to talk about which ones we believe. I think what matters is how you read it, and more specifically, what I'm trying to get at is my final point here before we move on. If you try. Recently, it has been taken as gospel how a creator intends a property. And I think that's wrong. I think that people are getting so mad about Endgame in relation to Endgame, the idea that, well, if it's this way, so it's this way. No. It is how you read it. That should be the important thing. We should not be taking once the creator has made a property, made a thing, made a content, how you read it then should become the most important thing to you, not how they intended it. Their words should not be gospel if it's not explicitly written on screen. I don't think, anyway. So, Sparkz, you were going to jump in.
So this came up recently on the last Infinity Pod podcast episode that they had, and it didn't come up in specifically the ending of Endgame. It did come up in the way that people keep making headline articles out of every little thing that the Russos or Marcus and McFeely say about Avengers Endgame, regardless of what it might be about. Not about the ending, but things like, my opinion, the most heroic act in all of Endgame is Black Widow's sacrifice, and then that opinion piece becomes gospel, and it's like, this is the most heroic sacrifice in Avengers Endgame, blah, 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 blah. And there is or another one was like a...
Cap lifting the hammer? That's one that...
That's one. That one. That's a problem. The Russos commenting on a film they didn't make and saying that whether or not saying I think, saying Cap could lift the hammer. That's a great example. So this was brought up, and they also kind of framed it in the same way that I realized I wanted to frame this, because you were having this discussion about authorial intent and audience interpretation for a while, that you were wanting to do this. And I wanted to relate it to the death of the author, the 1967 essay by the French literary Roland Barthes, which is something that I wanted to revisit, and in the sense that was something written then, and social media wasn't such a pervasive existence, and that has made
nobody
this whole
can hear
problem,
your opinions.
That has made this whole problem far worse. And then I know you watched the Lindsay Ailes video. I'm sure Ryan did. Ben, you also did.
Watched it.
So Lindsay Ailes also has an excellent video that really,
I'll link it in the
yeah,
show
that
notes.
really sums up like what Death of the Author means in the modern age, and we're kind of bouncing off and responding to that in relation to our nerd culture discussion. So, that if you want to know more about that specifically, go check out her video. It's a great summation of like what Death of the Author actually means, why it's prevalent today. Okay?
Yeah, I'll link that in the show notes.
So something that bothers me with the Avengers Endgame one is that, real quick before we get into all the rest of it, is that I do stand by that, like, Marcus and McFeely should shut up, and so should the Russos, but like Marcus and McFeely should shut up because it doesn't even make sense, because they established rules of time travel in their movie that they wrote.
It's not ambiguous.
You either are
That's
paying
why I
attention to
disagree.
those rules.
It's not ambiguous. It's the
you're either
rules
paying
of the
attention to
movie.
those rules or you're not, and they clearly have a different intention that doesn't make sense, and that's
They
whatever.
make fun of Back to the Future because it's not Back to the Future.
Anyway.
Yes.
Going off of that, it's always been my opinion, and I didn't think about it that much until that we started talking about doing this, that all media I've always consumed, comics, films, television, if it's put out there, I treat it like a painting. It's art that you're meant to get your impression out of. I don't often, when I do look, and I do on occasion, look at art, just paintings, and I don't often try to find the title even, or understand what the artist had to say about why they made this piece, unless I feel like I have a really good reason to, unless I want to understand textually why they made it. But I don't often find myself doing that. A great example of this recently would be Us. When Us came out, I was thirsty online to look for everybody's reactions to Us. Not because I wanted to find Jordan Peele telling me what the movie was about or what things meant. I wanted to know what everybody else thought, because I knew what I thought, and I wanted to hear if there were other people who were kind of thinking in the same vein or had better ways of expanding on those ideas, or if I was just really off in relation to other people, just because I wanted to know. This has happened to me a few times with a few films. Neon Demon is another, where at the end of Neon Demon, I went looking for like everybody who was possibly talking about that movie, just because I wanted to know what their takes were on it.
Dude, Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
Quintessential.
Yes.
The quintessential. He made something, and everyone has their different opinion on it, because he does not give you anything. He says, here's an emotion. How does that make you feel?
So the end of Twin Peaks is like the current end.
You want to talk about ambiguous?
Twin Peaks: The Return.
Jeez.
That is one of the most like woof endings I've ever sat through,
In a
and
good
I
way.
thought about it for I still think about it.
Yeah.
And I went and I looked at all these audience reactions, but the thing is, like, I don't ever want David Lynch to tell me what the ending meant.
He never will.
I don't want him
It's
to.
great.
I never want him to. That's what I love about it so much.
I want to go back to Us real quick. So we talked a little bit. So
Sure.
The Empire Podcast, which is a podcast a lot of us listen to, does a series on spoiler specials.
They're amazing.
I listened to this one that you're
They
going to
bring in like the creators and
they
talk.
bring in the creators and they talk about their intentions with the film and how they decide to do it, what they were thinking. The Christopher McQuarrie ones are always like 14
6 hours.
long.
It's amazing.
But so they brought in Jordan Peele for Us. Now Jordan Peele said, "I will answer all the questions you'll ask me, but there are some that I just won't, because I want the audience to interpret them in their own ways. I don't want them
100%.
to tell. I don't want to tell them how they should read it." And that is exactly how you should approach these things.
Yeah. I've realized that when wielded properly, ambiguity is a powerful tool and one that I find I prefer more often than not. Especially if it's something where it's involved with a lot of thinking. I prefer for you to leave it to me to make decisions.
Sure.
Another example I'll bring up. I don't know if anybody ever saw this movie, but there was a movie called Devil that was
The
shopped
elevator
around as
movie,
being
yep.
produced by Shyamalan, but
saw
it
it in
wasn't
theaters.
directed by him. Yeah. Okay. It's kind of spoilers for the end of that movie.
No, nobody cares.
If you watch that movie, when I first saw it, if the movie had cut 5 minutes earlier and ended with this man who had been in the elevator and confessed to his sins of how he was responsible for the death of the daughter
I don't remember the details.
of
but
the cop who arrested him, and then he's sitting in that cop's car after everything he just went through in the elevator, which was like all this horrible shit, and they're sitting in silence for a while. And if they just ended the movie right there, holy crap, that movie would be incredible.
Also, that movie's not that bad.
But that no, it's not that bad. But the ending would have been incredible. I would have talked about that for forever. Instead, after this long stint of silence, which is where they should have cut, they instead give you an answer and resolution between those two characters. And it's kind of like, okay.
I would not be surprised if like the director had a vision of how he wanted to end it, and the studio was like, "I'm confused.
Sure.
Give me answer, please."
Sure, but that's my thing is that film would have improved from a sense of ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need the standard cookie cutter resolution. I preferred to live in the I have no clue what happened in that moment, and it's so tense, and just let it live with me for that length of time.
Right.
It's strange how much people have now in social media decided that they need to put out, like, anytime somebody doesn't get what they want them to get out of something, they have to like now reinforce. No, it's this. J.K.
Well, it's also interesting how like fandom hungers for it. Like there are people there's a reason why these reactions exist, is because there are people out there going like, I need to know exactly how you intended that, because I need to know how that's supposed to read.
Sure.
And I like that's a choice. It's a choice. I won't discredit anyone for wanting
Some
that
people
choice.
need the answers for them, and that's not a bad thing. Some people don't like ambiguity. I thrive on it.
But
Midsummer, Ben. I think there's
Oh,
some
God.
ambiguity in Midsummer.
There's a lot of ambiguity in
doesn't-
Midsommar.
I
Holy
saw
shit.
the same movie. There's no ambiguity.
I mean,
He's just trying to get Ben in the convo.
No, yeah. That or Shadow of the Colossus, Ben. We can talk
Yeah,
about that just real
yeah.
quick. For up until the very end of that game, you don't know if what you're doing is good or bad.
No.
You were told you are in this forbidden land and your girlfriend's dead. You have to kill 16 Colossus. That's it. There is no story to that game. So you're doing all these things, and you're like, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. And then the end kind of tells you. But it could still, for the character, you might be doing a bad thing, but you're doing it for good reasons. So it's still ambiguous in a way.
Yeah,
it doesn't
even-
fully give you the answers.
Even the ending to that game, as the credits roll, things are still happening in the end of the game. And you still have. I had a lot of questions getting out of Shadow of the Colossus, but they were not questions that I felt like
You
need
needed
to have
answers to, yeah.
Because to finally toss my hat into this ring, I did watch the Lindsay Ellis video, and I did
Sure.
skim the essay. And my thought on this whole thing is there are like. When Lindsay Ellis was talking about the whole Josh Green situation about about the character
John Green.
of John Green, thank you,
Fault in Our Stars.
Fault in Our Stars character trying to find the ending to her favorite book. So she found the author, and the author said there is none.
That's some
I
good
made
stuff.
this all up.
Yeah.
This is none.
It's fiction. It's not real.
Yeah, it made me think of two things that in my life that had endings that I didn't necessarily like, but I would be okay with an answer, but I don't need an answer.
Because it might be not the answer you want.
The two things are the ending to the Inheritance title, the Aragon the books, and Negima. Say what you want about Negima. That ending.
What's that?
What
It's a
the
manga.
hell is that?
It's a
manga anime series.
Yeah,
Got it.
it's a manga anime series. I'm
It's
talking
like manga Harry Potter
I'm specifically
with a harem.
Yeah, but
Oh.
shut up. I'm specifically talking about the manga because the manga still it doesn't end with that happily ever after. Here are here's the girl that Negi ends up with at the end. It doesn't end like that. You still don't know who his wife is going to be at the end of the book. You don't. And at first I'm like, who's he going to end up with? All these girls want him, but he hasn't picked one. And we know he's going to get married and have kids later on down the line, but you don't get that answer. And I'm okay with that. At first I was like,
That reminds me of
but
Tenchi Muyo?
Tenchi
Muyo, yeah.
And the
Weird
same
series.
and the same with Inheritance with Aragon. The book ends with him and Saphira flying to the other side of Allegasia and to restart the Dragon Order, but that's where it ends. I mean, there was another book that just recently came out that does have Aragon in it, but I haven't read it yet. I haven't heard a lot of things about it. But once again, it's a 4-book series. The war is over, and how do we rebuild the Dragon Order, the Dragon Riders? And we still don't know. So it's something that I'm actually okay with. I'm okay with letting my imagination flow. It's like, you know what? Maybe Negi did end up with girl X, Y, or Z, and then Aragon did rebuild the Dragon Riders, and he died with the Order officially restored, or something kind of like Jay, or something went wrong. I kind of like thinking of having my imagination flow the thing, flow. And
we're also
make my own
creative
ending.
people, so like we kind of like that. Again, some people they need all the answers, or it doesn't make sense to them, and it's not a bad thing. It's just how people are wired.
So bringing it back to where this has been a lot, really prevalent in our culture, especially with the two biggest franchises in the world, which is Star Wars and Marvel.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
It's only gotten worse with the author staying involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Harry Potter's got a different problem than Endgame and Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Similar but different. When it comes to Endgame, like going back to Endgame, there's a lot of people who claim that Endgame isn't. It's kind of the same. It's kind of a little bit the same with Game of Thrones, although I can't speak with any authority on that. With Endgame, it's like this isn't an ending to the characters I wanted, and therefore it's a bad ending.
Same with Last Jedi.
Same with The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
This isn't what I wanted, therefore it's bad. Like, there's criticism that can be lobbied at these sort of things, but
Game of Thrones, yes. Last Jedi, no.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is right for you to dictate art. I don't think it's right for audiences to dictate art. I think is interpret, enjoy, criticize,
Discuss. Yeah.
discuss.
I completely
Definitely.
agree. I
point of art.
Dictate? No.
I've seen arguments like, be it like meme fuel, or even on Twitter every once in a while, where people say, "Oh, the ending of this is not the ending I wanted. Henceforth, everything I loved up to this point is now bad." I hate that.
And so what it comes from with Marvel, someone said something really interesting to me, and I'm going to say this word, and I hate this word. Someone asked, do people like these movies, or do they just stan characters? And I think that there is a large portion of the Marvel fandom that doesn't like any of the movies, but only like the characters in them.
As somebody who's been super involved with a lot of the comic stuff now, I just saw a tweet that's like, have you seen all the Marvel movies? She's like, I refuse to watch any of the Iron Man movies. And I'm like, I didn't respond to it, but I was just like, why? She just doesn't like Iron Man as a character, which fine, but if you haven't watched any of the movies, how can you know that?
Yeah.
I didn't like Captain America as much as a character, and then after I read some of the books, I was like, no, this is actually the movies are great.
But see, that's the thing. So to them watching watching Avengers Endgame, it fits in line with Captain America. That to me, at the end of that movie, I still watched Captain America do his Captain America thing. How I interpret the ending, it is still Captain America. It is still well within the character that I've been following these past 11 years. That is my interpretation of the film. Now, to someone who does not like the films and only likes Steve Rogers as a character, I can totally understand why you decide, nope, that's out of character. It's out of character to you.
Yeah.
But it's not. But I don't think it is actually out of character if you've been following the films.
On the flip side of that, again, on the crazy amount of things I've been reading on Twitter now, because I'm enjoying this comic community, someone was like, a lot of people have problems with Endgame, with like what happens with Steve and Tony. But you got to realize that these guys have been involved with these characters for like a decade. I think they have a better understanding of their version of the characters than you do.
Yeah,
and I think that's true, whether you like it or
and
not. They know.
There are people I've seen argue back, being like, "I can't believe they've been with these characters for a decade and they don't understand the characters as much as the fans do." It's like, no.
Okay, listen. Comics have been around for so long. There are dozens and dozens of interpretations. This is one arc that's lasted 10 years. And I'm like, we all agree, I think the characterization in the Marvel movies are incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the most part, all the characters have stayed the same or evolved how they should evolve with character development.
Yes.
Like Thor. Thor is a 100% different character from his first movie to Endgame. And I think a lot of people have a problem with that Thor, but I think that's a beautiful
but
journey.
But that Thor fits for the film.
Yes. You see where that character has gone to, and it makes sense.
I want to know specifically what you're talking about with the Captain America thing.
What do you mean specifically?
So, because you're saying like people are seeing something and saying this isn't true to the character, but if you've been watching the films that it is true to the character, what are we talking about?
Okay, so if you deify Captain America as a character, like if you're just like, if you in your head Captain America has married Bucky and he sleeps with Tony and he's truth, justice, and righteousness, and that's the character that's in your head because you love Steve Rogers and you love Chris Evans, but you don't watch the movies. You only read the fan art. You only read the fan fiction.
Well, I mean, I think they see the movies, but they just hyper focus on Steve, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah." But that's a good point. Like, yeah, they watch the movies and they hyper focus on their fan fiction and their fan. There's nothing wrong with fan fiction. I'm not saying there is. Fan fiction is a great tool. If they're focusing on the fan fiction version of Steve Rogers, and that's the version they like, that's the version they projected onto, that's the version they want to see in the movies, then I totally understand why you'd be upset in the films.
Sparkz, our friend Scott is a big fan of Steve Rogers and Bucky, like as a ship, right?
Yes.
And if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't like that they didn't end up together or something? Is that something
correct?
Like that?
It wasn't enough to like ruin the movie for me, but I mean, like, it's.
I don't think that's fair to...
Look, to be fair, because I don't want to throw him under the bus.
This is not me doing that at all.
No, but I want to be clear.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's sincere in that, and doesn't just kind of jokingly go off about it because he himself is a homosexual and would prefer that outcome.
Yes.
I don't know how much it sincerely bothers him that they didn't, how much he was actually reading something that wasn't present in the movies.
Because that is something that I have seen online. It's like people don't like that.
For sure. No, it's a thing out there.
The movies have never given us any indication of that. And listen, I am all for dudes hooking up, being best bro buds. I'm cool with that. But you have to give me a reason.
I'm a Poe and Finn.
Me too.
Fan,
dude, the way they look 100%. At each other, are you kidding me?
You
give me a break.
You ship Poe and Finn.
But if
I ship Poe and Finn hard.
But okay, let me ask you this: if in the Rise of Skywalker they don't end up together,
Star Wars is trash.
What? My dreams? I don't like The Last Jedi anymore.
I don't like this whole franchise.
Yeah.
Now, if I don't necessarily, but if I were to ship Poe and Finn, but they still don't end up together, I'm like, I'm not in control of the story.
Come on, Ben, get on the
dude.
pen
There's
wagon.
one scene.
Here's my thing.
Get on the pen wagon.
Ben, let me tell you the scene that's great. So
right.
it's when everyone thinks Poe's dead, and then Poe and Finn reunite, and Finn is wearing Poe's jacket, and Poe's like, "It looks good on you," and he gives him a slap, and like he like licks his lips. It's like super like, "Yeah, dude, you look good in my jacket," and everyone was like, "Oh shit, is this something that could happen?"
Can I tell you,
and
like,
it's subtle and it's just fun, and they don't have to do anything, but it's fun.
So real quick, because Ken Knapsack would back me up on this, one of the weirdest details I find about The Last Jedi is that there's a encyclopedia book about it. Poe is wearing a ring on a necklace. Do you know about this? The ring on the necklace? Yeah. He's wearing a ring on his necklace that, from his culture, is that he carries it around until he finds the person he wants to be with. And I'm like, why would you give that character something so specific?
I know.
Unless you are putting them with somebody in a movie. Jeez. Like, holy crap. I mean, like, I'm not saying that means it has to be Poe and Finn. I just think that's a super strange detail.
Right. Yeah.
It's a good segue, I think, to Star Wars. Okay, so Star Wars has often been in the center of the debate of authorial.
There's a
intent.
movie, The People versus George Lucas.
Yes,
great movie.
And it's kind of where it came from. Like, who owns Star Wars once it's out there, George Lucas or us? So people criticize the prequels primarily because, well, not primarily, a lot of reasons, but a lot of it came from this idea that George Lucas has ruined Star Wars, has ruined my idea of Star Wars. That was kind of Lucas's intention.
No, it was. He wanted to make the movies he made Go on.
For better or worse, he made the movies he wanted to make.
Yeah.
They're not good. Even as a prequelist, I acknowledge they are not good movies. But I really like the intention behind the films. And I really liked a lot of the stories that are in the films and what it inspired. But there was the argument that was always made of, if he did this and he ruined my idea of Star Wars, does his interpretation of Star Wars matter more than my interpretation of Star Wars?
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up real quick that I think George Lucas muddied the waters real bad on this by doctoring the original films post their release.
I agree.
And
Sure.
that is the worst thing that I think he did for the franchise. Worse than the prequels. I think it was always a mistake. I understand, I kind of get and could even allow throwing in like CGI background creatures on alien planets and things, but when you're specifically changing dialogue and how scenes play out, or altering
adding the no from episode 3,
yes,
that's so
altering
bad.
things so that Han
that is a ruining thing.
Han and Greedo shooting at the same time.
Yes,
just Han
yeah.
moves
That's a
to the side.
character ruining moment.
character ruining moment. So things like that.
Hate it.
Some people, when they get things like the new Ghostbusters, they'll be like, "Oh, they're ruining my childhood." That is actually ruining someone's childhood.
Yeah.
You're taking it and you're saying what you watched as a kid and loved is wrong. This is what I really wanted it to be. This was a mistake.
No, case in point is like when you say they're new Ghostbusters. It's not really your childhood. The original's still there. Star Wars, I cannot get back unless I pay hundreds of dollars on a VHS thing to get the original ending of Return of the Jedi, where it's not Hayden Christensen as
You
the
can find
Force
it
Ghost.
online, baby. I've seen it.
Baby, I got it on the shelf over there.
There
You
you
can
go.
just watch it.
Yeah, you're fine.
VHS
But I
ones?
personally can't get it because
Sure.
my copy of Star Wars is with Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker Force Ghost.
Right,
I
and-
reminded the Hayden Christensen thing.
So, but regardless of the feelings
prequelist,
about the intent behind it,
Yeah.
that is such a force of the author's intention being so forced down the audience's throat. You don't get the choice.
Yeah.
Sure.
You have to accept that I'm changing what you knew. That's really bad, and kind of the only case where I think it's so profoundly enacted.
Yeah.
Not only in the extent that like this is the version now and this is what it is. I will not let the old one out.
Yeah.
I won't.
I think that's
No more. The end.
I think that's kind of selfish.
It is. This is the
What-
worst. And I want to be clear. Like, I think that what George did with the prequels, when he's like, I'm not against him. Like, he had an intention of what he wanted Star Wars to be, and he was trying to show that with the prequels, regardless of whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. I don't mind the intention. I minded the execution. But that was fine. What I think George's biggest mistake was when he did it is that he was like, I wanted Star Wars to be this. He didn't take into account, or he did and didn't care, what Star Wars had actually meant and what he'd actually put out that resonated with people, and didn't try to bring those aspects to the prequels. He just wanted to make the version that he wanted, which is okay, and I can accept it. What I really can't accept is going back and changing what already existed.
So
that was just I see no version where that's good. That's just wrong.
I agree. So yeah. This is a weird take, but just go with me here because it relates. When you think of like Marvel Comics, right? When you think of Spider-Man, you don't think of Stan Lee's writing, right? He created the character, and then people made him better, right? Like,
Sure.
yeah. So for me,
Len Wein created Wolverine. Chris Claremont made him better.
yeah, Len Wein created Swamp Thing, and then Alan Moore made him better. Exactly. That happens every day. Comics are old. Everyone like George directed the first Star Wars movie, but that movie was a disaster, and it was saved by editing. He's a great ideas man. George Lucas is not the reason I love Star Wars. It's Irvin Kershner and Lawrence Kasdan because they did Return of the Jedi and Empire and stuff.
And John Williams.
And John Williams, yeah. It's George Lucas is the idea man. Empire is the best for me. It's the best Star Wars movie because there's the most emotions. There's the most like at stake. I know exactly what everyone's doing and why they're doing it.
Well, if you follow a lot of the behind the scenes trouble for Return of the Jedi, he actually directed Return of the Jedi.
That's fine. I mean, he
'Cause
wasn't the sole guy behind it, though.
No, it wasn't. But the director had the director I think came out and spoke about this. But there's been a lot of talk like going back to like I will relate this to what we were talking about. George Lucas forced his intention on Return of the Jedi onto the director and made him film the version that he wanted Return of the Jedi to be. So I think a lot of the
Did you watch the original movies before you saw the prequels?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Okay.
Did I? I think so. Pretty sure.
Because your love for the prequels.
It's been a
like,
long time ago.
Okay,
It was. I watched the prequels in theaters, and I don't remember when I first saw the original series trilogy. My love for the prequels comes from the ideals presented in them, and that didn't come until a couple of years ago. And my love of the prequels was enhanced by the Clone Wars TV series, honestly.
Yeah. Which George Lucas really didn't have a lot to do with.
He had a lot more creative hand than we think.
Did he write and direct it?
No, him and Dave Filoni developed the series together.
That's what. But I mean, his hands aren't fully involved.
Not fully involved, but that's the thing. Dave Filoni is George Lucas.
Dave Filoni's a better George Lucas.
Dave Filoni Clone Wars didn't exist without George Lucas.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni executed George Lucas's vision with the Clone Wars in a way that Dave Filoni, because Dave
also
Filoni
thank Genndy Tartakovsky for that original series.
Yeah, the original series is really good. What I'm trying to get at, and this is going to sound, every time I try to phrase this, it comes out wrong, but the Last I think a lot of the hatred from the Last Jedi comes from a misunderstanding from George's intent with the prequels. The prequels were meant to show people that the Jedi weren't these kind of deific, all-powerful, good forces of the things. The prequels were meant to show you the Jedi were wrong, and that's where the Last Jedi bounces into.
For me, if you went straight from Return of the Jedi to Force Awakens, I still think you can get a lot of, because again, The Force Awakens is going back to the original, what people love, quote unquote, loved about Star Wars. Besides some lines and stuff, like nothing from the prequels can't be summed up in a couple lines in the newer movies, if you know what I mean. Like,
I don't think The Last Jedi exists without the prequels.
We know who Palpatine is and how the Jedi fall. You could still say that like the Jedi fell, and I know they fell because I read a lot of extended material stuff before the prequels came out. Mm-hmm. And there's also metachlorians, and no matter what George's intent, like that's a ruining thing right there as well.
I mean, but regardless of that, like as far as the topic that we're doing today, which is our author intent and audience interpretation, I give George on the prequels the same lenience that I give Rian Johnson with Last Jedi, which is that it's not my job.
Yeah.
To force you to bend to the story I want.
Yes.
Sure. Regardless of how I might feel about it, like I don't particularly think that Episode 2 is very good at all.
It's not.
But that doesn't mean I dislike Star Wars or I'm resistant to the direction that movie went in. While I don't like Attack of the Clones, I really like a lot of the Clone Wars stories that are facilitated by that story existing.
Absolutely.
That's the case with author intent, audience interpretation. It's not my place. We are allowed to take our impressions from it. We're allowed to learn our own lessons from it and get what we want out of it and see the things that we don't like and see the things that we do like. But it is not for us to say, oh, you took it in the wrong direction. Now, that being said, it's also not the author's place to say that our impressions or what we take out of it is invalid.
Exactly.
It's also not their place to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem with what Marcus and McFeely are doing right now with Avengers Endgame. It's a problem with what J.K. Rowling did with Harry Potter, and it's something that has become all the more problematic the further we get away from the Dumbledore is gay comment.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes. J.K.
One of the things I think the Roosters are doing well to the best of their ability, and Feige too, if you guys follow the Q&A that he did with Empire, is that they're saying, this is how we think the ending of Endgame played out. Whereas Marcus and McFeely are saying, no, this is how.
So I think that film and television probably suffer from this in a very specific way that the other mediums don't, even books to an extent, because J.K. Rowling shouldn't be. I stand by, shouldn't be doing what she's doing with this, adding things outside of the text that change the way that you have to look at those books, right? And all this stuff. Yeah, paratext. Paratext would be applying things like about her herself as an author to it. She's adding extra juicy bits to inform on how you're supposed to do a read. And unfortunately now, I can't go back and read Harry Potter again after the first time I've read it and not have at least somewhere in my brain the idea that is Dumbledore gay. Even though it's nowhere in the books and nowhere the first time I read it did I think that.
Not a single but now, part of the original books. Like when I was reading Sorcerer's Stone years ago, I didn't care.
But now I have to think about it when I read it. And look, it's not a problem. I don't have a problem with Dumbledore being gay. The problem that I have with it is that it's representation created outside of the text just to say, well, look, there's that thing. This is what I always believed. And it's like, cool, why didn't you ever show that?
Well, so one of the things that I just remembered is that this was one of the earliest times where audiences had tried to dictate what the text was reading. So they had interpreted. A lot of the audience members had interpreted Dumbledore and Grindelwald's relationship being a homosexual relationship. There's nothing wrong with that interpretation. What became wrong was when J.K. Rowling was like, yes, you're right. And then never did anything with it.
No, because Fantastic Beasts.
Because the thing is
Not even.
Because the thing is that, yes, that's the problem. She's the person who's writing the Fantastic Beasts movies, and she could have made this overtly a homosexual relationship and validated why she said this is true. She chose not to.
Yeah. And she got that representation in with Nagini.
And this isn't... it's not real representation.
It's not, because now when you go and read through those books again, that snake that doesn't have a character now is a character.
So anyway...
Why?
Film and television, what I was saying. Film and television, I think, suffer from this in a very particular way because they treat it as when George Lucas even, or the Russos or whoever does this, they treat it like they are the sole person who gets to have say over this film, when realistically film and television is a collaborative effort. It's made by a whole lot of different people who did a whole lot of different work from different levels along, whether it's the actors who are involved, the crew, the editor, all of these people who were involved. And you as the writers and the directors are not the people who have the one final say on how somebody interprets the art that you created with all those other people.
Like one of the biggest moments in Endgame is like the I am Iron Man line, and that wasn't in the original cut.
Captain Marvel wouldn't have ended the same way if it wasn't for the editor. The editor is the person who said, you know what, she should really fly off into space with the Skrulls, not by herself.
Yeah.
That's a huge change. You do not get to be the person who then, like, it would bother me. I'm glad that that's information that's out there. This didn't happen. What I'm about to say didn't happen. But it would bother me if the screenwriters or the director of Captain Marvel came out and said, hey, by the way, didn't you like when the Skrulls went off into space? We thought that was a really great idea. We went for that and took credit for it. Or tried to force some narrative of, like, you know, this is why we felt this was needed, blah, blah, blah. You are not, you might be in the highest position because you're the person whose name gets the highest billing of being responsible for the film. That doesn't give you the right to be the person who forces your perspective of what the film was unless it was actually part of the project you made. It's your opinion. It's your take. If you didn't put it in there, there's a reason it didn't go in there, because probably somebody else who you were collaborating with was like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're a content creator, it is still open. It is still your interpretation. Your intent could be something, but if I write something, let's say I write something, and my intention was something else, but you know what? That's still my opinion. I intended it to be that, sure, but if it's not read that way, well, maybe
so what?
So what?
Yeah. And it's a thing. We live in the internet culture where people get mad that if you don't agree with them.
Yeah, Brandon, that whole thing kind of reminds me of the famous joke of English teachers talking about how the blue curtains represent something, but the author's like, no, I just like blue curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's reading into things.
It's cats.
Yeah.
People try to read into cats.
Yeah.
It's just about cats, guys.
They're reading into things that aren't really, that the author never intended. Like, when I was reading Harry Potter the first time, I didn't care what wizards were doing back in the day. Then all of a sudden, J.K. Rowling...
But now you know.
Yeah.
Now you know.
They
now
shit
I know.
on the floors,
Now I know.
baby.
It's like...
Why is that information we needed?
But the thing is, it's
She was
stuff,
really high.
I feel like it's stuff that I just don't care about. Like what Sparkz was saying, like Dumbledore being gay. Now when I read the Harry Potter books, I will always have that fact in my mind.
Again, even though the books give you no indication of that.
No, they don't.
Absolutely, right.
Or the fact that wizards used to shit on the floor like dogs. It just made a spell.
I mean, I would if I could.
And it's a problem. It's a problem if you're doing that, because you are now informing something where it's honestly, her doing the Dumbledore's gay thing is no different than George Lucas shoving Hayden Christensen's face into Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing of like forcing this opinion and perspective that didn't exist before. You have now changed the art. The art existed, and the moment the art exists, this is where the concept of death of the author comes from. Once the art exists, you're done.
Yeah.
It's now to be interpreted. And this is the final stamp on the argument. You don't own it anymore.
Yeah.
That's it. It's over. You put it out there. If you wanted to keep it to yourself, you should have kept it to yourself.
That's the entire
That's
thing
it.
of the People versus George Lucas.
Yeah.
Because like the re-releases came out, the Blu-rays came out, And it's like, you keep changing these movies that people grew up with, and they're not the same anymore, man.
Right.
Like, you don't own this anymore.
The art is meant to stand on its own, and it should.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be connected to the author. It shouldn't be tied to them unless it is, in a sense, meant to be a paratextual piece, in which case it is designed, like the John Green book Fault in Our Stars, to make you think about the author a bit. But even as John Green said, he thinks that if you only think about him when you're reading that book and you think about how it relates to him, then he's failed to create that story. I did not know. This is all referencing Lindsay Ellis's thing, by the way, for the audience.
Yes.
I did not know that John Green was directly referencing real-life experiences when I read Fault in Our Stars. I just read Fault in Our Stars.
Yep.
I hadn't read a John Green book yet. Having now read the other one, which he was talking about when he was basing that Van Houten character off of, which is Looking for Alaska, that book, holy crap, ends in such a crazy, ambiguous way, and I love it. I really love that book, and I really love that he'll never answer questions about it. I have a similar feeling about Paper Towns, though to a lesser degree. It's insane when other authors feel like they have to come and put a stamp on exactly how the art is meant to be seen.
Yeah. Like with the end of Inheritance, I would love to find out if Aragon got the Dragon Riders back up and running again. I would love to know that. But
in your hearts they did, Ben.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, then if Christopher Polini came out and said, "Oh no, he was assassinated on the road, the Dragon Riders fell, and Natsuwata died, and everything," if he were to come out and say something completely different than what I wanted, I don't know how I feel about that.
You don't have to like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't have to like what the author said, but if they said something after the fact that the art came out, and it's like, "Hey, this is like the definitive editing," then it's like, "Well, shit,
It's not in the book. No, it's not.
It's not my. I don't own this. I just love it, and I interpret it as a way." So I don't know how I would feel if he would come out and say, "Hey, Aragon Aragon became the next tyrant," or something like that.
But this comes from the fact from something that with the Russo brothers, with Marvel specifically, is a big problem. Marvel has a major problem with this, a kind of deification of creators, directors, writers. Like, we have put these creators on such a high pedestal because they make good stuff. Like, look, we like most of these Marvel movies. I get it.
Here's the thing.
But we put these creators on such a high pedestal that it has to be their intention has to be how it is read.
So here's the thing about the only Marvel movie that really has like ambiguity is Endgame, because like Black Panther tells a story. It has a finite ending. Oh, did what's the bad guy's name? Killmonger. Did Killmonger not die? No, he died. Right? Like, he died. So that, like,
did he?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it's.
But if Ryan Coogler had come out and said, "No, I didn't intend him to die at that moment. He should."
I won't believe you. I saw the movie you made.
But there's going to be a large portion of the fan base that will take his word as gospel.
Yes,
because he is their. I mean, for lack of a better word, he is their god.
Yeah.
And like, that's wrong. That I feel like that's where this problem has come from, is that we have put these content creators on such a high pedestal. And I don't think that's right.
Well, because we're about to do a show all about a person.
I don't think it's. hold on.
We're literally making a cult about somebody.
Yeah. I don't think it's wrong for us to. I don't think we deify them, but I don't think it's wrong for us to raise up creators we admire.
Yes.
Don't think that's wrong.
I don't think that's wrong.
No. It's their responsibility how they interact with a fan base. Yeah. It's not ours. It's not the fans' responsibility to pull back on what they take seriously from what they say. I don't blame any Harry Potter fan for taking everything J.K. Rowling says as gospel. I don't blame them for that. You're allowed. She created it. She created it. You're allowed to feel that way about it. Yeah. It is her responsibility as a creator to not force these extra opinions further, or new takes, or expand. It's George Lucas's responsibility to not alter his films. It's the Russos' responsibility to just let the film stand on its own and not feel like they have to shove out everything. And if they do, it is okay to say, "I think," and give an opinion. It is an entirely different thing to say, "This is fact."
That's a... that's a much better way of putting it.
It is not. It is not on fans. It is not the problem. Isn't that fans have put them on too high a pedestal or anything like that. It is perfectly fine for us to admire creators. We're all loving Jonathan Hickman like crazy right now.
We're all loving Donny Cates,
for X-Men. Donny Cates also. We're loving those creators. It is great to praise them. It is great to like talk about everything that they say and all that. They have a responsibility to engage with the fans in a way where they are encouraging the opinion of of their work, the interpretation of it, but not informing it. And I think that those two do that easily.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele is one who does it. Anne Rice is someone who doesn't, who says, you can't have fan fiction.
Yeah.
You can't have fan engagement with my property. It is my property and mine alone. Well, then she shouldn't have shared it.
Yeah, right.
Just she shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So there
it's
you
almost
go.
like public. It's like it's in the public once.
This is a problem. It is a problem, but it's not a problem we can do anything about. This is a problem where, in the age of social media, they have to realize that yes, it's great to engage with fans. It's a great thing. You should be more responsible, like John Green is. You should be more responsible, like Jordan Peele is. You should recognize that it is your position to be able to engage with your fans and have discussions with them about the works you've created. That's totally okay. What you shouldn't be doing is telling them that it has to be one way or another. You should not be informing an interpretation. If you hear something from them, you are allowed to listen to their interpretation, and you are allowed to say, wow, I'm really glad you got that out of it, or wow, how did you get there? All these kind of things. You can give opinions on it, but you should not be stating new facts that alter their interpretation of the text that you have created.
Yeah.
I know what I said was completely the opposite of that, but that's actually what I meant to say.
So I actually haven't. This is an awesome topic. It's the reverse of all this. It's director's cuts. It's when movies get put out and are bad, and the director's like, "That's not what I wanted to put out. Here's the director's cut." And almost every single time, it's always better. Blade Runner, the original movie, is bad. It has a bad narrative by Harrison Ford that ruins the movie, and then he made the director's cut, and then the final cut, and the final cut is the best version of that will ever be.
But in that case, what's interesting is that the cut, the theatrical cut,
the studio made that cut.
is not ambiguous.
No, and that's what's bad about it.
But the final cut is. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like the director's intent was to make an ambiguous film.
Can I tell you what's okay about that and why?
No, that's all.
So what's okay and great about director's cuts is almost in no instance does a director cut overpower the original.
Yeah,
they are now two separate pieces of art. They can be consumed in their own ways.
Yeah.
The problem with George Lucas and what he did with the original trilogy is he took away the originals and said, no,
That's
only
the
this,
problem.
and you can't make
If
more
those were
versions of
still
the
around.
originals.
Quite literally edited the negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If how much more money would he have if you have here's the original ones and here's the newer updated ones if you want those? We would not be having this conversation.
He did that once.
And
He did that once, and then it never happened again.
Yeah, and the point is that you should do that because they are now two separate works of art. It's no longer the same art. It's like if you had a painting and then the painter came along and said, hold on, like 20 years later, I meant for this pink spot to be here.
Yeah.
I painted over a piece of the original art.
And it looks better.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
Recreate the painting and add that in. Sure, now it's two separate paintings. It's different.
What was that? I was watching a movie where they're talking about a work of art, and there was a giant blotch of something, and there was a tiny little pink dot on it, and so everyone's like, "Wow, it means this, it means that. What does this pink dot mean? It means we're all alone," and blah blah blah. Like they're making all these things, and the artist was like, "No, I just actually got some pink paint on it."
And that's what's beautiful about art.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like every time I see these art shows or like for something, I'm just like scrolling through TV. It's like, oh, like where an artist just like, there's this great piece on. Do you guys know the show Adam Ruins Everything?
Yes.
Like there's this
True TV.
Like it's Adam Ruins Fine Art, and the artist and this art student, she just sneezes and paint splatters on a canvas, and her teacher thinks it's the greatest thing in the world. The very end, they go to an art gallery, and she draws something, and she draws like a caricature of Adam. Her art teacher's pissed, but the guy who buys it is like, hey, I know people at Marvel. I'm going to try and get you a job. This art piece reminds me of Jack Kirby.
Okay, that's cool.
It's like something that an artist where she sneezed, and then her teacher shows up like, this is an amazing piece of art. How did you do this? I'm like, she freaking sneezed. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of a story of my old teacher had where he was in an art class. He made sculpture space shuttle. It got completely criticized. He got failing grade. He made another sculpture where he used the thing to play with his dog and gave this BS explanation of how it was like, oh, this is like us tormenting ourselves. He gets an A on the project.
I used to bullshit my projects all the time. Real quick, going just back to David Lynch, all his movies are weird and ambiguous, and that's why he's one of my favorite filmmakers, television, whatever you want to call him. He never talks about his work.
Sure.
He puts it out, and then he shuts up.
Yeah.
And everyone asks him a question, and he's like, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah.
And I love him for it because it creates a conversation instead of like, hey, remember that thing in episode 8? Here's exactly what it means. I'm like
see,
I didn't need to know that, David.
It's like stuff like that where it's like the author's like, hey, I'm going to put out this thing. You can take it one way or another. I'm not going to answer it. Like Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, she puts out this amazing world. I don't know everything about the Wizarding World, and honestly, I don't need to know everything about the Wizarding World. But here she is giving stuff that I don't care about, and now when I go back to read the books, I'm like, well, shit.
Hey man,
okay.
those books are they're still good.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the beginning of this with the endgame stuff, my biggest problem with Marcus and McFeely making this claim, besides the fact that I don't like the idea of it, is that they're trying to push this narrative that it's always been this way and they've always known it was this way, and that's no different than the Dumbledore's gay argument. There's never been anything in the previous films to give this implication that this is where the story was going, that this is what they were doing, that this is what they wanted.
Did you see how they said there's an old man in Civil War who's supposed to be Steve Rogers?
Did they?
So
they,
no,
they
what
did
it
not
is-
say that.
No,
Yes, they did.
What it is that the fan theory about old Steve
Yeah.
being at the funeral
bad-
went around,
that's
and they're
bad-
like,
bad.
"You're right," and it's like, "I hate you."
Oh my god, that's so bad.
Like
Yeah.
my interpretation of Endgame, Steve got a happy ending.
That's exactly. He got
That's
happy
all
ending.
That's
Who cares
all-
about the rest,
That is
right?
just like we see.
Because the Russos were just like, yeah. Then the question is, how did it get to the present?
who cares? Time Stone.
Like even they were
Stop
like,
talking.
doesn't matter.
Magic Effery.
He did.
I don't care. That was what was given to me. That's what happened. Author or not, my interpretation is he finally got the life he always wanted, and then he came back.
Did you
That's
guys
all
see
I
the-
care about.
I know Sparkz did it because he responded to the tweet. But did you guys see the tweet? I said at this point I just want an Agent Carter TV series renewal so that they can shut up about the ending of Endgame.
But then you're like, no, Marcus and Feely would be in it.
Yeah.
Did you hear that rumor that they're trying to get Haley Atwell to come on Shield?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Because like the thing that I'm worried about with if they do an Agent Carter season 3, which is not even a rumor, it's not a thing, it's just kind of a
Just
hope
get that
for me,
what if thing.
is the idea that they would continue the relationship between her and Daniel Souza, and they will see, and that, hey, that's all I fucking need.
Yeah.
Did you guys already say the F-bomb?
We did.
Twice.
Sorry.
Whatever.
That mine was very low though, so it's okay.
So yeah, that's all we need. So
Yeah.
I never ever need an answer to the ending of Endgame ever.
I don't want it
I don't want it.
because
Neither do I.
the movie gave me my answer. I'll say that. Yeah.
The film itself gave me an ending. It's like here's an
end
ending
the
for these
game.
characters. Here's a possible beginning, like Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor is still gonna stick around. There's still stuff that's gonna happen, and that's great.
I like that you pulled Thor: Love and Thunder. Not anything of the other ones. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah, but like Thor's on the ship of the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's still more stories of Thor to be
What
told.
does that mean, Ben? What does it mean that Thor's on the Guardians of the Galaxy ship?
Hell if I know. But I'm here.
No,
I'm
it's
gonna be.
just- It's just there's always going to be these articles,
Yeah.
and I get it. Like there's the clickbait headline era that we're in right now, and we've been in it
Yeah.
for a long time. But
And-
like the idea that every answer is going to be an article, everything is going to be an article, and that's
And,
ridiculous.
Or every question.
Yeah.
Every question.
And it that's again, it's on the creator's responsibility to not give into this kind of headline creating bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just to keep in the conversation.
So it is the creator's job to do that, and it is the audience's job to not dictate art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
This is what I think of the movie. Doesn't mean it's right. I like it.
Yeah. If you like something or not, dictate.
Yeah.
Criticize.
Yeah.
Not dictate.
I
Sorry.
want to
criticize.
real quickly.
Review. Don't dictate.
Try. This is not be positive on the issue, but I think a lot of the reasons that we have like Marvel stans or people who still feel so strongly about Last Jedi is because they're passionate.
Oh, totally.
So like at the end of the day, like we can all argue about this, but like it's I don't think it's ever out of like vitriol. Most of the time, it's out of like I love this character so much, I cannot believe that this is the way it went, even though that's not exactly always right.
The example that I use, most of it does come from vitriol.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
but the example I use of like if you have projected on the fan fiction version of Steve Rogers and you hate Endgame, that comes from a vitriolic place.
Okay.
It comes from both. You love that version of Steve Rogers and you're very upset that it's not there. I totally get that. However, if you don't like the movie Endgame, if you disagree with the story direction that it went in, and you're disappointed in it because you love the movies, because you love the characters, that's something else.
Yes.
That is what you're saying. That doesn't come from a place of
If
hate.
you feel that Endgame was like a Game of Thrones ending where it didn't satisfy all the character journeys, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think Endgame was incredible and served every character, but that's just me.
Yeah, and so like the same thing with The Last Jedi. If you love Star Wars and The Last Jedi didn't give you what you want from Star Wars,
Yeah.
that's perfectly valid.
Even
Like,
dude, the first time I saw The
perfectly
Last Jedi, I didn't like it. Now I love it.
Like I've already pretty much said that upon further reflection, I don't think it did justice to Black Widow. And I'll stand by that probably for the rest of my days with Endgame. It doesn't mean I hate the movie. It doesn't mean I hate the Marvel films.
But
It doesn't mean I'm demanding answers for why did this happen.
Yeah.
contracts. I understand.
And so that's the
Black Widow coming out 2020.
so there is the difference.
Mhm.
There is the difference that there is there's criticism from love and there's criticism from hate. And I think what you were saying is there is a place for love.
Yeah. I've to jump on this, because I also have seen people criticize because they didn't get the ending they liked. I mean, obviously, Game of Thrones is a big thing.
You can't satisfy everyone.
Yeah, you can't. You honest to God can't.
Most people will just be like, "Okay, I'm not ending it. I'm going on forever."
Yeah.
See, it's hard as hell to try to end a 22 movie series.
Yeah.
How hard is that, man?
Yeah.
Real hard.
It's extremely hard. But oh god, I had a point.
You had it, baby.
Like Brandon, when you said where people are mad because it comes from a place of vitriol, I also see it come from a place of vitriol as well, but I also see it because people love these things so much and they just don't like it.
It's not black and white.
And obviously, it's not black and white. There's obviously some gray tossed in here and there. Oh, god darn it! I had a thing. I was gonna go for it. I completely lost it. Son of a gun.
I think you made a good point.
Yeah, but it's I think when people... Oh, I just remembered. When people take things too far, it's because they personally didn't get the ending they wanted.
When they attack creators.
And they attack creators for, like, how dare you give this thing... It was supposed to be like this. Like, earlier you said something
that goes
about...
back to them dictating art.
Yeah, and also goes back to the thing you said earlier, Brandon, about, oh, I'm a fan. I know this character better than anyone else does. It's like, I'm pretty sure Chris Evans knows the character better than anyone else does. He's playing the damn character.
He knows the movie version better than anyone because it's him.
Yeah.
And he's been involved the entire time.
And also, it goes to a thing that when people say... there's this phrase that I have grown to really, really hate. It's when people say, oh, it's true to the character. Because when we go to things like pop culture and comics, we have things in comics called multiverse. One person, I mean, yes, the core...
Every Hulk comic is different.
Exactly. Every Hulk comic is different. Every Superman comic is different. Every Spider-Man is different. So when people say, oh, that's not true to the character, it's like, which one are you talking about?
It goes back to our adaptation discussion a little bit. If you're adapting something, as long as you stay true to the core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, sometimes that argument, because, like, I've definitely said that about some things, because I've definitely said that about Spider-Man Far From Home, where I think there are some things that aren't true to the character, and I'm very specifically talking about things that are generalization values of the character, not things that are, like, locked into a run.
Right.
So that's kind of a double-edged sword, that phrase.
I think we're about wrapping up. What do you guys think?
I just like I'm thinking more about director's cuts, and all the director's cuts that I think of, they're all better than the original movie.
Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Daredevil,
I don't think
Ridley
there's-
Scott's Kingdom of Heaven, which is like an hour longer, and that's an awesome Crusades movie.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with director's cuts.
No,
I think,
my thing is director's cuts are good. That's just the point.
No,
where author of
no,
the,
I didn't. I wasn't trying to say
Yeah,
that you were. I was saying that I think that that's a great thing. I think that is a great example of, like, you know, if a director does feel that way, then that's a great way to express that, because you're creating a separate.
They're
piece.
unhappy with their vision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're creating a separate piece of art. I'm trying to think. There's a franchise that isn't Star Wars. There's something else where, like, there's a preferred version of the films for watching that that I have. Lord of the Rings. Jesus.
Oh.
Lord of the Rings has the longer versions.
The extended cuts.
The extended cuts. And those are essentially separate pieces of art. And it might not be as controversial to distinguish between the two as, say, Star Wars or what we were just talking about with Blade Runner, but it's definitely like interpreting two different pieces of art. And it's not just like, you know, Peter Jackson, whose different stamp is on that. It's everybody's different stamp, because it's a collaborative medium.
Yeah.
And respecting that and understanding that, like, you know, you are analyzing two different pieces of art, and also understanding that it's your responsibility to treat those as two separate pieces of art if you're a person who was involved in the creation of it.
Exactly.
Part of this is, like, you know, there were two ends of this discussion, which is really, you know, what is author intent and where's the line on that? What is audience interpretation and where's the line on that? Audience interpretation can be everything. Like, you can love all pieces of art, you can react to all pieces of art in whatever way you want. Just don't enforce your interpretation on the creator, just as they shouldn't enforce it on you.
Right.
Hence, petitions are stupid.
Hell yeah, they
They
are.
are
those
very
shouldn't-
dumb.
So those shouldn't be happening. But also,
I'm
authors.
glad we got to throw that in there.
But also, in the age of social media, authors really need to be more careful. Creators need to be more careful about when they are responding to fans.
Yeah.
The Russos, I really like the Russos. I don't hold them in the same banister that I hold Marcus and Mafeely right now, but they also need to just stop trying to inform on audience interpretation of their work. They need to just leave it alone.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Brand, this could be my final thoughts. The whole thing of authorial intent, fan intent interpretation, everything is a slippery slope on both sides. We have seen fans get out of control. We've seen creators get out of control.
Although we've never seen a creator start a petition to change something.
Exactly. But still, we have seen...
They just released a director's cut.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, sorry. Finish your thought real quick.
Yeah. But all four of us have seen things like we've seen fans petition, and then we've seen authors get to throw us trivia, JK, random stuff that we never needed. So it's always a slippery slope on both sides. And we've even seen them go to the very extreme. So this whole thing... I feel that there's no right way to put this, but there are authors and fans who do this right, and there are authors and fans who do this completely wrong.
Absolutely.
I can't believe that this whole discussion we didn't get to the prime example of both ends of that spectrum, which is Zack Snyder and the Snyder Cut.
That was going to be my final thought. That was my final thought. I was going to save it. Yeah.
I lost my headphones because of that.
Zack Snyder
Holy God.
is the...
You just dropped the bomb in here.
Zack Snyder
Good
is
Lord.
the worst on this. He is not holding any
He still talks
responsibility
about
for this
Justice
because he
League.
puts out... It's worse than that. He doesn't talk about it. He shoves out these little photos and things to just tease up the fans
His
that he
concept
knows
art
he
of
has who are
Darkseid.
fans of... Hardcore fans of his vision, and he's like, cool, I've got this. Boop, here you go. Here's a picture. In another month,
some
I'll release
dopamine.
another. Yes. And he keeps them jacked up on this so
There
that
is
they
a
keep
video of him
rampaging for the Snyder
There's
Cut.
a video of him saying, it exists, it just needs to be put out by Warner Brothers.
You're awful. You're awful, Zach.
And the reality is, and I like Kevin Smith, but I'm so disappointed that he endorsed this. But I also understand what he was trying to say, which is that he's like, the Snyder Cut exists in the sense that it is an unfinished film, which he feels like most people could appreciate at this point, and that they should just release it and just have Zack Snyder doing narration over like the pieces and saying this was the intent of this scene.
Yeah.
These unfinished
Almost like a
effects and
director's
everything,
cut,
and
yeah.
like that. That was Kevin Smith's argument. And I'm like, cool. I understand that. Like, if you wanted to put that out, whatever. I just don't think that the audience has ever been hungry enough for that. I know that there are the people who are rampaging.
Those
for the
7
Snyder
people
Cut,
who showed up
but can
at
I
Warner
tell you
Brothers.
what?
Yeah.
Justice League wasn't that good of a movie. We shouldn't still be discussing it like this. Like, it wasn't even going to be that good regardless of Zack Snyder's version. I'm telling you, the reason that it bombed wasn't because Joss Whedon got to put his own cut on it.
No.
It was because it was a bad movie, because people didn't want to go see it, because Batman v Superman wasn't the movie they wanted.
Yes.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The audience interpretation of Batman v Superman was not for me. That was overall how people felt. That's why Justice League didn't get turnout. It wasn't because Zack Snyder was involved, because guess what? When you were marketing it, most people who are Casey casuals didn't know that.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
So this argument that, like, oh, if Zack Snyder's version had been released, it would be different, that's not true. Like, stop living in this bubble world where you think that's the case.
And it will cost Warner Brothers millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
To get a final cut of Zack Snyder's movie.
Well, and that's why Kevin Smith was saying, just do this rough thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, I guess, if you want. I don't think it's justified.
No.
I don't. And I don't think that the audience should be rewarded for this demand for it. I don't think the fans who have gone so rabid about it should be rewarded, because they've been the biggest pains
Oh my
in
God.
the butts.
We talked about this, I think, during the adaptation thing, but again, Mass Effect 3, nobody liked the ending to the game, so they made a petition,
Yep.
and then
And
they
they
actually
caved.
changed the
Uh-huh.
ending.
I remember
Yeah.
this.
It's the
yeah.
one time that I can think of where it actually happened.
Right.
And it didn't fix that ending.
No.
It didn't.
Right.
It just made it worse.
Yeah,
Let's-
and
the Lindsay Ellis, going back on her, because when we were watching her Game of Thrones video,
Mhm.
the ending of The Sopranos, everyone was like, "What the shit about
Oh,
the
sure.
end of Sopranos?" But even the directors and the actors
creator,
are like, they're like, "I'm still gonna end it the same way."
Yeah,
I would do it again.
You
100%.
interpret what you feel. This is how I end it. If you don't like it,
I
I'm
love
sorry.
that ending so much.
But Zack Snyder is the prime example right now to me of someone who needs to take more responsibility, because, I mean, frankly, he's not going to. He loves being irresponsible about this. He loves feeding his fan base so that they keep this discussion about him and what he was making, because that's what he wants to do, and it's awful. It's the worst kind of relationship, because he's feeding this antagonistic, hate-filled demand, and I don't think either him or the base should be rewarded for demanding this Snyder cut for so long and being so just
Vitriolic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and territorial about it. Just
Yeah.
awful. And I don't think they should be rewarded for it, because that's not a good idea to set. Maybe if we were like only a few months away from Justice League, but it's been years. Like, let's move on.
Can we just let it
Wow.
die, please?
It's been years.
All right.
Wow.
That just slammed into my brain that I was like, wow, how have we not talked about that?
I was saving it to be like, hey, remember when Zack Snyder used to do all those Vero things?
Fair enough.
But you went way more
He's
into it.
still
Yeah.
doing it.
No, I know. Nobody uses Vero anymore either, so what the hell, dog?
It's really troublesome.
All right, shall we I'm done.
Yeah. Hey, you guys want to end on a positive note? Does anybody know about the whole your number neighbor thing on your phone? You've heard about this?
I have heard about this.
Okay. Hey, have you heard about the coolest number neighbor?
Is it the Chris Evans ones? Because it's fake.
Oh, is it?
He
Yeah, it's
posted
fake.
on Twitter that this is fake.
That was fake.
Oh, bummer.
Yo, man, you should have went to his own page.
Never mind. I
he
don't have
saw-
anything
he denied it
positive about
himself.
it.
No, I saw that
Yeah.
because he's straight. I saw that on Twitter. He was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, this is fake."
Guys, don't text random strangers.
I'm just glad I haven't got.
I wasn't gonna do it, but a lot of those tweet threads were real funny.
I'm not going to do it, and if my number neighbors do, then okay. But yep, I haven't gotten that yet. So
Well, I don't think it would happen at this exact very second.
No, I'm just double checking. I'm
Alright.
just double checking.
What a coincidence.
Shall we
Shall we
move on to our book club?
Oh,
Yes.
shit. We have one?
I guess so. I think so. Do we all read it?
Uh-oh. Welcome to the Fake Nerd Comic Shop.
Yeah, hi. Do you have any books?
Can you be more specific?
Anything readable?
All right, then time now for our book club. Sparkz. Take it away.
Hey, guys. So we're talking about Man-Eaters, Volume 1.
Yeah, we are.
Written and created by Chelsea Cain, with a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of extra work on this trade volume.
I like the last one.
Swagger Kaling. Yeah, Ministry of Trouble Incorporated is the moniker for all of them. It's Pencils and Inks by Kate Niemczyk. I'm going to do my best. Colorist Rachelle Rosenberg. Letterer Joe Caramagna. Covers and creative producer Lia Miternique. Additional interior art by Lia Miternique. Stella Greenvoss and Kyle Scanlon. Additional writing numbers 3 and 4, Eliza Fantastic Mohan, and haikus number 1 and number 2 in volume 1, Emily Powell.
Where are all the men? Ugh. God.
Yeah,
Who put out this book?
Image, right?
Image.
yeah. This is an Image book.
No, but there's an imprint specifically with Image. That is this.
Oh.
Oh, it's the bomb. That's the Ministry of Trouble thing.
Oh,
I
is
was
it?
just looking at. Yeah.
Just like their moniker. Like Man of Action.
I thought it was like Black Mask. Or
No.
something.
Nah.
Yeah. See, it's right here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I wanted to pick this. This has actually been sitting on my shelf for a little while because I picked it up 2.5 months ago.
I helped suggest it.
Yes, I had been wanting to read this ever since I read Chelsea Cain's Mockingbird run, which I was a big fan of. And
That's the one that everyone got
Ask
mad
me about my
right?
feminist agenda.
Yep, and I was a big fan of it. So I really hope you guys are interested in listening to 4 white guys talk about feminism.
No,
Because that's about...
let me tell you how refreshing this book is.
Yeah.
There's so much talk about periods and menstruation and women things that I read so many comics, and I've never once had a comic like this.
Yeah.
Because this is an entire female creative team. And this is something that it kind of blew something up in my brain, honestly, how I'm like, I looked at all my comics that I read and how many are written by women.
Yeah.
And this is not me trying to get you guys. What comics right now are you guys reading that are written by women? For real.
Unfortunately, not a
Yeah,
single
exactly.
No,
I'd
hold
have
on.
to look.
I'm going to look up the one that I'm pretty
Okay, so
sure.
Marvel right now has a lot. So it's mostly because it's Thanos and it's a Teenie Howard and Kelly Thompson and Kelly Sue DeConnick and Gail Simone. They're all doing a lot of great stuff. My point is I don't read enough comics written by women because I like this book a lot, and it's given me so many perspectives and so many things that I've never thought about, and I really like it. It's also about werewolf cats. It's really funny.
Just wear cats.
I know. I thought we're cats. I liked this book a whole lot. I thought it was really funny. It gave me a lot of Matt Fraction vibes. Matt Fraction's he did Hawkeye and a bunch of other great stuff. Iron Man. I liked this book a whole lot. That's all I got to say.
This book threw me off on issue 4.
Oh, you mean not the issue?
Yeah, not the issue. That
Yeah.
it threw
The
me
magazine?
off. But that's a whole different thing. But as I was reading this, I'm like, what? My whole thought process was like, damn.
Yeah.
Just that. As I'm reading this book and I'm just like,
But why, Ben?
damn.
But why?
Because you're right. It's a lot of stuff that we don't really talk about. And
Yeah.
it's kind of, it's like, damn, this
As
book.
four white
As
dudes would never read this.
as 4 straight cisgendered white men, well, I'm reading this. I'm like, oh man, this. As I read this, I'm like, man, this book needs to be out today. This book is like kind of, holy shit.
This book got a lot of attention.
I really enjoyed this. I really like the way Chelsea Cain writes people, and honestly, I really like the way she writes feminism.
Yeah,
to be honest,
I do too.
This comic is all about it. It really is.
There are so many like jokes and fake ads that are like targeting like made for boys. And,
oh my god!
all that shit, and I
all
love
of the
it. Estropop,
Estro named
I love
products
all that shit
throughout
dude.
this comic.
All that I'm like, are
oh
you
boy,
effing serious?
I thought of a good analogy that I wanted to use to describe this book, which is that if I can remember all of it, and I'm going to try. This seems very much like an exaggerated take, obviously, on what. Like, exaggerated to us and certainly taken to a level that it doesn't exist at, but not very far from what I imagine a lot of women in the world would experience as, like, actually it's a lot closer to true than you think. The way that not like, the government mandated, like, you have to drink here, that kind of thing, obviously, but like things like the way that men talk around the women in this comic and all that. Like, it's given this horrendous and horrific justification by the nature of what they have to do to prevent these werecat attacks, and what they have to do in quotations in order to make women drink out of the tap water supply, keep them from experiencing menstruation, and it just justifies like all the worst propaganda of toxic masculinity. And how many more buzzwords can I hit? No, I think it's really great. I really enjoyed it. I was sitting here reading it with my girlfriend and her sister in the room the other night, and I was just like, man, a whole comic page of this is just instructions about how to put in a tampon.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I read them,
and I read the
and then I was
entire
like,
thing.
Wait, is it like this?
Yeah. I actually learned about things that I did not know before, because I'm not going to go up to my friend, yo, tell me about your tampons.
Yeah.
Like, this is a weirdly informational book for men, really.
Yeah.
And that's why I liked it so much, because it's like, again, it's a breath of fresh air. I've read nothing but manly men comics this last week that's all about like power and all this stuff, and like this book is like, it's so female, and that's not a bad thing. That's awesome. It's so fresh.
Yeah.
Again, I don't read anything like this that often. Marvel doesn't put anything out. They fired Chelsea Cain.
Sure. Yeah. Jesus.
There's a joke about it in this book.
Uh-huh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It's troubling to me how probably not very exaggerated some of the language is about, like, well, we need boys to have this space. There needs to be a safe space for the boys. But what about the boys?
This is the boys' lounge, right? It's one safe space to read comics, play with action figures, boy stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, boy.
like not everyone can enjoy comics or action figures.
Oh, boy.
I love it.
Or play the video games. I'm like, what?
Brandon?
Like, as I was earlier the day I was reading this, I was at Lost Levels in Claremont at Arcade.
Yeah.
There was a few girls there, and I was like, good. Everyone's playing video games. This is great. This is why I love when people get together. I love when everyone come together to play video games. That's what I want. And then I get to that scene. It's like, yeah, this is where boys stuff to play video games. Like, everyone likes video games. It's not just a boys thing. Stop saying that.
It's because they're teenage boys. That's what they were learned to be.
Brandon, before we go much further, I want to hear some of your thoughts initially on this.
I was surprised at where the trade ends.
Okay.
That's why we read issue 5.
So the trade volume is what we're talking about. It was issues 1 through 4, and the 4th issue is entirely a magazine that lives in that universe.
Yeah, I didn't read a lot of that magazine because a lot of it felt repetitious. I just kind of started reading the same thing over and over again. I think that it should. I think the trade. I don't understand because it's Image. Like, why isn't the trade 1 through 6?
Yeah, it's weird.
Like that was super weird. Like the story just kind of. It's just the story we're following just kind of like cuts off.
And again, if 1 through 3 is the first arc, that's fine. But if you read issue 5, it's kind of still a continuation. So it's kind of weird that it's these 4 issues.
Yeah, and I think I would have had a better. Like, you guys read 5.
Yes.
I did not. I fell asleep super late.
Sure.
If I had read that, maybe I would have felt a little bit differently. But like, I feel like I just read an incomplete story. And I don't often feel that way specifically with Image trades.
Sure.
And like, so it was kind of weird.
This seems like it's instead of it being a traditional, maybe that's the problem here. It doesn't feel like a traditional 1 through 6 is the first story, because it's just slowly building the story every issue.
So I thought a lot about it because this is just the trade, and I'm like, regardless of if you've gone to the comic store and you bought this, if you bought issue 4, you bought this fake magazine.
This is about young girls becoming werecats. We haven't talked about the plot at all yet.
No, I know, but I wanted to talk about this.
I just want to throw it out there. Yeah.
You bought this fake magazine.
Yes,
that's essentially what you got, and I did read all of it.
Yeah,
and it's actually what I really like about this is that that magazine helped, but up to that point, For sure, it cemented it. But up to that point, I think that she does such a great job making this feel like a very lived-in world. And a very, like, this has this kind of Spider-Man Far From Home effect of, like, that feels like something that lives in the MCU. This feels like a world where people live in. I feel the sense of this kind of overbearing propaganda against women.
Yeah.
And I actually really liked the way that was executed. I don't know if I needed a whole comic issue of it, but the way that was executed with the whole magazine, you read some of the stories, and this is the part that gets me, is like if you read some of the pieces in here, like How I Survived, or how to like read the signs of your feline cat, which is a euphemism for your lady in your life. It's uncomfortably realistic to how like guys will talk about women.
Oh, totally.
And I thought that was really effective because it's drawing this hard line on it and then shoveling over it with cat litter.
Yeah.
So the story is about there's this
Mod.
this Toxoplasmosis X.
Toxoplasmosis X.
And
toxoplasmosis is a real thing.
If you're positive, and it's spread through cat litter, and if you are positive and you're a lady and you start menstruating in your young teens, then you stand a very good chance of becoming a werecat creature who will just murder their families and everything. And the scene that they show, like one of the early like flashback ones of the one who killed her mom
like
and then
six,
the little
like
girl, I was like,
ago.
oh, that's really an effective like
Like half
interjection.
her face is gone. Like half of her,
Yes.
it's
I really appreciated that. But so this has created this like very strong masculine-based fear of women, to the point where like there's this one section where they're talking about one of the schools getting all gendered restrooms, and the boys are saying, well, we don't want that because we could be killed in the bathroom then. And it's just what a horrifying idea this whole thing is, and that women are forced to drink from the tap water because in there the government has put in...
it's got medicine in it. And it's we can't drink from that because adding those hormones will kill us, but they're for you girls, so you have to drink from there.
Right.
Like, wow, this doesn't sound like the 1950s at all, does it? Like, wow, I love it.
It's really good.
Like, that's what I love about comic books and, like, anything that's allegorical. Like, yo, man, we're talking about racism and sexism, but we're talking about werewolves, baby.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed this book.
Do you think she's a Swamp Thing fan?
She's a fan of that one issue that we read.
That's what I was about to say.
Yep. Yeah. I thought this book was genuinely funny throughout the entire thing.
I did too.
There's a group of corgis.
Oh
Yes,
yeah, the
that
corgis.
are like cat hunters, and they all have the best names: Greg, Merkin, Spider-Man, Curiosity, Amy, Palm, Burt Reynolds, Marcia. It's because the wife, she's never been good at naming anything, and I think that is such a funny concept.
I love
the corgis are so cute.
I love the corgi named Burt Reynolds.
I just love it.
I really like the way she writes the young daughter's interactions with her
homies,
with her father.
Mm-hmm. Oh, with her father.
Yeah. This isn't surprising. Chelsea Cain has a daughter, and so she's good at understanding how to speak with them or listening to them a lot. That's the impression I've gotten from her. And I really like how just unabashedly pro-female this whole thing is. The whole opening with her playing with a superhero tampon.
Like Mr. Tampon or something?
Mr. Misogyny.
That's the bad guy. Yeah.
Is the bad guy. Yeah. And the personal is political. I really enjoy it. I think that was a great opening to it. The fact that she so directly attacks some of the Trump stuff, like on the TV at one point is the famous like pussy grabbing line.
Yeah.
That they're wearing.
I'm gonna put the explicit tag on this episode.
Yeah, we're fine.
If the president could say it, we can say it.
It wasn't right then. It's not right now.
There's this great line of Maude. She's watching TV with her divorced parents, and she's like, "Oh, I've seen this episode." And Mom's like, "Oh," she's like, "Yeah, it's the one where they finally say how they feel, and the parents forgive each other, and they get back together. The kid turns out really well adjusted." And she's like, "That doesn't sound very realistic." I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my god, it's so realistic. I hate it so much.
Yeah,
I love it. There's so many funny lines. Like, there's this guy named Doug who's really tall, but he's not tall enough. And there's a line of like, where somebody has to stand on Doug's shoulders.
Doug's not tall enough.
And then she's like, "Hey, do you see anything?" He's like, "Well, yeah, because Doug couldn't see it." And he's like, "I'm sorry." And that just made me bust out laughing because it's like his dialogue is written small. Like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." There's just so many great little character moments. Let me pull up something right here. The kids just discovered Nietzscheism existentialism, and they're like, adults have a knack for ignoring the abyss beneath the fragile shell of their own psyches. And I'm just like, I remember being 17 learning about Nietzsche. Oh my God, it's so true. I love it. This book was like written for me, but it's also not written for me because I learned so much stuff about it. I was really taken aback.
I really did like the characterization of all the characters. I will admit, I did not read a lot of it when it was just wall of text. Like the as you guys were talking about, like the tampon instructions. I did not feel I needed to read all that.
It was informative.
I'll tell you what, much like Watchmen has a lot of supplemental material, you don't have to read it, but if you do, it makes the book way better.
I really appreciated the way that a lot of this was handled. I really like the moment with the daughter and the dad where she's kind of flustered because she's menstruating and she doesn't want him to know, but she was in the bathroom for a long time and she's like, Jesus, fine, I used your mustache scissors to trim my pubic hair, okay? I have lots of pubic hair. That's what happens. It gets unruly, Dad.
He's like, whoa, oh God.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's like, okay.
There's this line that talks about what happened with her in Marvel, and this is funny because we are a Marvel family, not a DC family. It's in your blood. That's why I think I loved it. You may disagree with Marvel sometimes, and occasionally you will question their story decision. That's okay. You will meet people, find people, DC people, and they will tempt you with engaging DC titles. Experiment. Read some Batman. We've all done it, but the siren song of the MU will bring you home, baby. So I'm thinking.
Was this in this book? Was this in?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
It's like one of the first issues.
Yeah, that was. It was like her and her dad talking to her.
It was like a huge page of like the dad just saying all the stuff, and I'm like, oh, she wants to go back home to Marvel. She loves Marvel so much. I get it.
Oh, I remember that. I read this like a couple hours ago.
Yeah, I really like where this all starts going. Oh my God, you just flashed past it. But the moment where they're calling people in because of the werecat attack, and they're like, you have to bring your daughter in because it's suspected.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're bringing her in, and they're like holding one of the daughters at gunpoint. And it's like, you know that we can't trust you. Just stay away from her, Billy. And I'm like, wow, that is really horrifying.
Like, when I got to that part where the daughter was just chilling and she's like, what's going on? And the mom has a gun to her. I was like, that's messed up.
Where this all goes with we didn't intend it as like a coup or a plan or anything, but they start getting all the estropop, and so a whole bunch of girls have not been drinking what they're supposed to.
Yes.
And so it's the lead up of the end of issue 3, which is her with the cat eyes, and Cat wants to go out, and I'm like, oh man, I love this. I really want to read more of this.
A lot of these people are quoting Lion King in here. A Wimboep?
Yes.
And I'm just
The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Yeah.
What the hell is this book? It's so weird.
It's
I love
super
it.
weird. When that first happened, I'm like, all right.
It's like
I
crazy
see you.
cult stuff or something.
Yeah.
First when they were like, a Wimboep, a Wimboep, a Wimboep. I was like, why are you singing Oh Wait, Lion Sleeps Tonight? I
They
get
got
it.
night vision goggles. Yeah, I think that's super funny.
It's so good.
I legitimately like. Again, I keep saying it's a breath of fresh air. We read many of the same types of comics.
Sure.
Even Image comics, primarily men the comics that I read. This really wants me to go out and explore more female comics because it's nice to have a different perspective.
Yeah. I want to read this little piece that's supposed to be from the fake editor of the magazine in the 4th issue.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's this. Cats are highly adaptive and manipulative. Do not believe the pro-cat propaganda. Purring is not a reliable indicator of future behavior. The most docile-seeming cat can turn on a man or a boy in a heartbeat.
Yep.
In this issue, we explore personal accounts of near-deadly maulings as well as what you can do to keep yourself safe. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. But it may be the new normal of the man-cat relationship. Are you a man? Or are you a pussy? Kevin Soder, editor-in-chief.
Jesus, I love it.
Just reading that, I was just like,
It's such disgusting propaganda, and it's so effective.
Like the whole magazine, I was like Brandon. I wasn't really reading it. I was flipping through like some of the things I read, and I'm the whole time reading. I'm like
a real magazine.
Yeah, but personally, I'm like, man, all this stuff is just wrong.
Yeah,
this
buddy.
Is just messed
that's the
up.
point. And she really wants you to feel that, and I find it very effective.
It's almost like this is what
I really
women
enjoy
actually
this
feel
book.
like every day. Whoa.
Hey guys, just real quick because I thought this would be fun. I'm gonna do for all of us our Cat Fight monthly horoscope that's in this magazine.
Oh, I remember. mine.
Yeah.
So Ryan, your
Aquarius.
birthday?
I'm
You're
Aquarius.
Yep. You creative talents may indicate rage. That's yours.
Yep, that's right.
Ben and Brandon, you guys are Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
Do not take mauling personally.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I'm Sagittarius, and it says your relationships with women may prove disappointing.
Damn! You got a lot of ladies in your life.
You know what? That's actually pretty accurate.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
You're
You're a champ.
The past is the past. Future is now.
I've known you too long.
Yeah, I think this is a terrific a political book, a hidden political book that I am so glad you bought.
Yeah, I am too. This is really awesome.
I'm a buy volume 2. Absolutely.
Yeah, I am also going to do that. I'm going to buy the rest of the series. I'm
maybe
really
you
into
just
this
buy it and then I'll read it.
Okay.
Because I was gonna say you buy volume 1, I'll buy volume 2 for you.
Oh man, that's so sweet.
Hey, yeah.
No, I think Chelsea Cain's doing some awesome stuff with this. I'm so glad that she just dove, like, absolutely unabashedly went for this and said, "This is the tone, this is the world, this is what I'm going for." If you are just so anti-feminism, then guess what? You are not gonna like this.
Nope.
It's also just a really funny book.
Yeah,
like
it is.
besides all the great political stuff, like she is snappy and she has a real voice to her that I really like.
I am so sad we won't see her Vision comic.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
Who knows
that's what was pulled and
that
canceled
book-
when she was. Yeah,
that book would have been so cool.
yeah, I'm really sad about it.
I'm
but I'm
definitely
really
gonna
glad that she has this.
keep my eye on more Chelsea Cain books from now on. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, we could, stain on Cain. We'll see.
Jeez. I love it.
Any other thoughts? I think this is awesome.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I think it's on up to issue 10. I think
so.
that's where it's at. So
Yeah.
we're not that far behind.
Ben,
Yeah.
it's your book club next week.
Yes, it is. I totally forgot, so I'll let you know later.
I like that
Sounds
you
good.
had it and then you forgot.
Yep.
All right, then. Should we get out of here?
Let's
Yeah.
get out
Yeah.
of here.
All right, let's do this. Thank you. So next week we're going to be talking with Jen.
Yes.
She will be coming on.
She thieves keys.
We're going to be talking about the animated retellings that Disney has been putting out lately.
Are we specifically focusing on The Lion King?
I'm
So
sure
I
it'll
think
be
I think it's a entry
focal
point.
point. Yeah.
My point being, should people who want to revisit the original animated film do it for this conversation?
Sure,
Okay.
it's a good movie.
it is.
Great movie.
And also
It's on
be
the
on-
list.
Be
Yeah, I
on the
know.
lookout for our Stranger Things Fake Nerd Watch dropping on
Ooh,
YouTube.
baby.
And The Boys.
And The Boys Fake Nerd Watch. As we just mentioned, we have YouTube. We just finished up the first season of Basement Arcade
Oh, the first season's over, baby.
and
Oh.
the second season of Fake Nerd Watch.
Yep.
oh my God, you're right. I was like,
Oh,
what?
crap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, we've been doing this for a little bit.
Yeah, we have. Holy crap.
Very cool.
more stuff coming. We're not done yet.
Never done.
We are a Funko affiliate. You guys can check that out by clicking the link in the description. Buying whatever you want, checking out, using promo code SHOP10 for 10% off your purchase. Thanks, guys. We
Hell
have a
yeah.
Patreon and we have a TeePublic. Remember, one tier on Patreon. Just
Keeping
one
the
tier.
lights on.
Help keep the lights on.
It's been dark for weeks. Help us out.
And if you want to support
I'm proud
that
of us
tier-
that every time we say that, the lights actually aren't on.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. I'm not a liar.
If you want to support us on Patreon, you will get our entire back. Well, not our entire back catalog.
Working on it.
You will get a lot of our back catalog of episodes as they originally aired online, and
One quarter portion.
and you get all of our special episodes early, not exclusively, but early. So if that appeals to you guys,
Hey man, I know a lot of Patreons who do exclusive stuff. So like, not now, maybe
we
later.
do not have have enough people to do
No,
that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I'm not going to record something and have nobody see it.
because we already kind of do that.
We have a TeePublic. You guys can check that out. Both the links are in the description for that. Our TeePublic has a bunch of cool shirts up there. New shirts coming, guys.
They look great.
They're looking really good. So you definitely want to check those out. We have our miscellaneous. We have our fake nerds. We have our suburban
Basements.
proctologist. We have a basement arcade, and some new really cool shirts coming from some really cool creators in the next couple of months, and a sale coming up in 2 weeks.
Heck yeah.
So check that out.
Sorry.
Link in the description. Thank you to everyone who listens. We greatly appreciate it. There's no show without you guys. Thank you to Jim Rivolucci, who did our new intro music and outro music.
My
Cool stuff. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards. He did our. He also does our interim stuff, our segment intros.
bread and butter.
He has a podcast called Suburban Proctologist, which is now back on iTunes.
Hell yeah.
Wherever podcasts can be listened to, is you can find that show. It's a really funny show. Should get back on that.
He's also in a band called The Element. I saw him posting stuff about The Element recently.
Correct.
So that's
there is
awesome.
exciting stuff happening there. There is also Treasure Town.
Hell yeah, baby.
He's a very active man. Very
Support
good
the
man.
arts.
Love that dude.
Support the farts.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Just the arts. Thank
Got
you.
I guess I'm not being supported this week.
Not this week. You can find his shows both at facebook.com/suburbanproctologistofficial or Instagram at subprocpodcast. I don't actually think he uses his Instagram.
We'll
Follow
find
us
out.
Sometimes
Well, he will.
does. Sometimes
Follow
When
he
it goes
does.
active again.
Follow it anyway. Thank you to Mike Matola, who does our logo, who does our miscellaneous and our fake nerd logos. You can find him at Mike Matola. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BC McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Sparkz?
So just in relation to our topic, the creator of the GIF file format says that it's pronounced GIF.
Listen,
So thanks for shoving that on us.
Wrong.
I'm at Sparkz Witty on Instagram, SPARKZ Witty.
I will die with my honor.
my name is Ryan Oleopoulos. I'm at DJ Tony Stark, and I'm pretty sure I responded to that. I will never say GIF, and I will die before I say GIF.
It is
Yeah.
not Jardians of the Galaxy.
It's not. You're right. I hate this.
Ben.
Why did you? Oh, is that author intent?
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Damn it! Mad again.
Shit. All right.
So funny.
I'm Ben. You can find me on the internet on Instagram, Twitter, BenNeck27. And also, guys, I forgot to mention at the top.
This is so cool, Ben.
Yeah, I'm also writing for oldschoolgamermagazine.com. I'm only specifically writing the blogs on the website. If I do get it, if an article does come out on the actual magazine, the magazine comes out bi-monthly. So if you want to, you can get the magazine for free online. So just go to oldschoolgamermagazine.com. You can get the magazine for free if you sign up for the email list. And you can find my only one article about the classic gaming consoles, about my thoughts on them.
I
is
read
up
it.
there.
Nice article.
Oh, thank you. And more are going to be coming up. I'll try to posting either once a week or twice a week, depending on if I have time to do stuff. But yeah, so I'll be doing that. So if you want to talk to me
How about this, Ben?
what about
I will link those articles in the description.
Oh, thanks,
Hot
bud.
dog.
Thanks. So
Look
yeah,
at all the creative
and
stuff
if I
happening.
if an article of mine actually gets printed in a magazine, I will definitely let you guys know. But for now, I'm only on the website. But if you want to check out the website, check out the magazine, please go for it. It would be awesome because you guys know me. I love old school video games, and
Hell
I
yeah.
have a great place to talk about them now.
Also, I'm going to start hard promoting my books on my social media, so be warned.
Hell yeah, baby.
That's totally fine, bud.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly
I
appreciate
want to
it.
write something.
Until next week, guys.
Release the GIF cut. Bringle Fart Bumber Snatch. Are my levels good?
Yeah, they're fine.
Awesome.
That is
That's a thing.
Bringle Fart Bundle Snatch?
That's I'm pretty sure what I said.
Okay.
Fucking A, Ben. This is the same we're talking about. He always has water on him.
Shall we?
I'm always wet, Ben. That's my secret.
Oh my.
Put that at the end of the episode.